Chapter 88. Yes. Agars naturally couldn't give an answer, and could only give an ambiguous reply. Maple Shio said, I came to find you this time for two other matters. Do you know about the shrieking cavern discovered by the demons? Agars nodded. I've heard a little about it, but that's the demons' territory. It's not easy for me to investigate. Maple Shio said somewhat disdainfully, that idiot Sammy Keene has already lost over 100 men over there. But he still keeps it a secret and keeps it under wrap. Do you think he can hide it from me? Agars muttered, Big brother, do you mean for me to intervene? Maple Shio shook her head. No need. After hearing about it, I used my spiritual force to investigate the shrieking cavern. He didn't find anything. There shouldn't be anything valuable. Sammy Keene is just asking to be humiliated. As for his subordinates, they might not have been injured in the cavern. Maybe they encountered human monster hunters. Hearing the words monster hunters, Agars's expression suddenly turned ugly. As long as it was a demon god, there was no one who didn't hate monster hunters. These elusive human powerhouses could become their great enemies at any time. Agars alone had encountered more than 10 assassination attempts by monster hunters. One time he was even seriously injured. Maple Shio frowned. This matter isn't much, but not long ago, I felt that guy's aura. Agars's heart stirred. That guy? Last time you mentioned. Maple Shio nodded slightly. Heavenly Wrath, ranked 52nd, Unluo, reported to me. I personally went to the Exorcist Mountain Pass. But I didn't find anything. But this time, I truly felt its presence. Even though it was very weak, the purity of its aura was undeniable. Heavenly Wrath might have really come to this world. But right now, it should still be in its infancy and far from being powerful enough. Agars sucked in a breath of cold air. Big brother, we absolutely can't let Heavenly Wrath grow stronger. Otherwise, it will be a disaster for us. Back then, our ancestors united and barely managed to seal it. But in the end, it still broke through the barrier, forcing us to forcibly open a space to come to this world. Wasn't Heavenly Wrath already dead in that fight? How could this be? Feng Shio shook her head and said, Actually, all of you don't know the truth of this matter. The situation at that time was extremely complicated. The space was not created by us. At that time, the cultivation of our ancestors was far from enough. Only Heaven's wrath could tear through space. As for the specifics, it's better if you don't know. Agars nodded slightly. Tell me, big brother. Whatever you want me to do, I will obey. Feng Shio said, Send out all the elites of your clan. I want to conduct a carpet search among the demons. On the surface, it looks like we're exterminating the human monster hunters, but in reality, we're looking for the existence of divine wrath. Although Heaven's wrath was weak, it was not easy to deal with. Once it was discovered, it was best not to act rashly. We must personally take action in order to completely obliterate him. Keep this a secret, and don't tell anyone but us three brothers, not even Sammy Keene, to avoid causing panic among the people below. Yes. Feng Shio stood up and said, Let's go and have a drink at my place. Relax. Agars smiled bitterly. Forget it. Hearing the word divine wrath, I feel like there's a thorn in my back. I'd better arrange to find it first. Big brother, at least give me a direction. Feng Shio nodded and said, When I felt its aura, it was over at the Screeching Cave. But when I felt it again, it completely disappeared. It was as if it never existed. There are only so many clues. You are in charge of the intelligence of all the demons, so I'll leave this matter to you. I want to hear a reply within 3 months. I'll do my best. Feng Shio's eyes turned cold. You can't just do your best, but you must do it. This is a matter of life and death for us. Although we haven't seen the real divine wrath, to be able to force our ancestors to such an extent, it's terrifying. Long Houchen had a hard time waiting. Always lowering his head was not a comfortable thing. The demon emperor finally left, and he didn't feel that terrifying gaze again. The moon devils standing in front were called to the main hall by Agars. Only then did he quietly follow Yu Yi back to the palace. The two entered the palace, and Yu Yi dismissed the maids. She and Long Haochen collapsed on the ground as if they had collapsed. The mental pressure was too great. You know what? At that moment I really wanted to kill you, Yu Yi said angrily. Long Haochen smiled bitterly. It was my fault. I shouldn't have looked up. I didn't expect the Demon Emperor's mental power to be so sharp. Didn't expect it. Yu Ye's voice suddenly rose. Do you know that this sentence of yours almost cost me my life? Alright, hurry up and leave. Stay at the address I told you before. I'll arrange for you to leave as soon as possible. Okay, I'll leave now. Long Haochen changed out of the maid's clothes and returned to his original appearance. After apologizing to Yu Yi again, he quickly left. Watching him leave, Yu Yi finally relaxed. However, there was no relief in her eyes. Instead, she was pondering. His Majesty should have noticed him. But why didn't His Majesty make a move? Could it be to save Father's face? But there's no need for that. Perhaps it was because the existence of Long Haochen and the others threatened Yu Ye's safety. Just 2 days later, Yu Yi sent news. The caravan was gathering and would set off for the Temple League in 2 days. She told Long Haochen to be prepared. After experiencing bad luck and hardships, the goddess of luck finally came to Long Haochen and the others. The order issued by Demon Emperor Feng Xiu was to let the moon demon Agars lead the search of the entire demon's territory, not the undead demon god Samakina. In this case, who would check the caravan of Agars's most beloved daughter. What's more, the Moonlit Night caravan had recently experienced the tragedy in Narak province. Under the fury of the demon god emperor, news of him severely punishing the people of Narak province had already spread far and wide. Even the demons had made up for the loss of Yu Ye's caravan. Under the combined effect of these reasons, although the demons had begun to investigate the entire territory, Long Haochen and the others still returned to the Temple League smoothly without any setbacks. Yu Yi did not follow the caravan. She only left Long Haochen's contact information and time so that Kai could ease the restriction on her. Following the Yu Ye's caravan into the southeast fortress, the 2 teams of monster hunters did not stop. Instead, under the leadership of Long Haochen, they directly left the fortress and came to Xingshuan City, not far away. It was not until the moment they checked into the hotel that everyone's nerves were completely relaxed. They simply stayed there for 3 days, and all of them slept for 3 days at the same time. The fatigue was not only physical, but also mental and psychological. Since the day they left the Temple League and began this mission, their spirits had been in a state of high tension. They had experienced several life and death situations, but in the end, they still could not complete the mission. When they returned to the Temple League, their first feeling was that they had returned home. This was the first time the 2 teams of monster hunters carried out a mission. They were far from being able to fully adapt to this thrilling life. Right now, they needed this relaxation process very much. After 3 days of rest, everyone's spirits and emotions had recovered a lot. Only then did they set off again, heading straight for the Holy City. Both teams needed to rest and reorganize. Although they might not have completed the mission this time, the harvest was great. It was unprecedented in terms of training, improving their strength, and increasing their experience. On the way back, they specially rented a carriage. The speed was not fast, so it took them 15 days to return to the Holy City. These 15 days were also the time for them to summarize the experience and harvest of this trip. Long Haochen collected all the merit points of his companions and was shocked to find that the total number of merit points they obtained for this mission was as high as more than 20,000. This was a number that he had never expected. He was really surprised that they could obtain so many merit points just by killing. In fact, the main reason why there were so many was that the 21st General Level Monster Hunters had played a leading role in various battles, especially when it came to killing the powerhouses of the demons. Almost all the enemies of the 6th and 7th rank demons had perished by their hands. It would be strange if they did not have a lot of merit points. The 4th soldier grade demon hunt squad's harvest was far from being as great, with their total contribution points not even reaching 10,000. However, the contribution points they had accumulated during the trial had already been accumulated, so their total contribution points were now more than 10,000. Long Houchen did not hide the benefits of advancing to the general level monster hunters. Moreover, after this mission, the overall strength of the 4th soldier level monster hunters had also been honed and improved through life and death. They had already decided that the first thing they would do when they returned was to increase the level of the monster hunters. After a discussion among the 7 members of the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad, they decided not to divide the merits equally. After this period of honing, the trust between them had reached a certain level. Although it was very fair to divide the merit points equally, it also restricted the development of the team. Therefore, everyone decided to distribute the merit points uniformly and use them where they were most needed. This was obviously the most suitable way for the development of the team. The long-awaited Holy City finally appeared in front of the 2 teams of monster hunters after 15 days. They all had the urge to cry. Under Long Houchen's suggestion, the 2 teams of monster hunters did not return to their villas to rest. Instead, they went directly to the mission tower of the monster hunters to submit the mission. What? 200,000 merit points? Are you kidding me? When the 13 of them heard the explanation from the staff of the mission tower, even someone as good-tempered as Long Houchen flared up. The expression on everyone's face was incomparably ugly. Long Houchen stood there coldly, looked at the staff in front of him, and said in a deep voice, "I hope the mission tower can give us an explanation. Don't you know that an irresponsible mission will bring us a devastating disaster?" Lu Shi was even more radical. He slammed the table on the counter with his hand. "I was wondering why it was so difficult. Bastards, they are simply bastards. What kind of **T mission is this? Is this how you give out missions? What if we die in the hands of the demons? You must give us an explanation for this matter. Otherwise, I won't do it anymore." The staff was still the same one who had received Long Houchen's team. Seeing the 13 young demon hunters in front of him so agitated, he was momentarily flustered. "Everyone, please don't be agitated. The mistake in this mission is indeed our fault. We will not avoid this. The mission tower has also given compensation for this mission. Even if the mission fails, you will be given a reward of 20,000 merit points. This is equivalent to the reward you received for accepting the mission." Unfortunately, the staff had underestimated the attitude of the young people in front of him. Chen Inger sneered and said, "You want to dismiss us with just 20,000 merit points? You are committing a crime. Captain, we will not submit this mission. Let's go to the executive office. I don't believe that there will be no room for argument. I will go find my grandmother. Lin Xin, go find your grandfather." Long Houchen didn't say anything else, leading everyone to turn around and leave. The 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad was already used to following, so under Luke Shi's lead, they followed behind them. The staff's face was pale. What should we do? Things are going to get out of hand. Although he was not directly responsible, he was the one who gave out the mission. Moreover, when they discovered that there was a problem with the mission, they did not report it to their superiors in order to avoid responsibility. At that time, the staff thought that the 2 teams of newly promoted monster hunters would not have much of a reaction even if they discovered that there was something wrong with the mission. How could he know that Long Houchen's team of monster hunters could even be called the Crown Prince team? They were not people to be trifled with. Not daring to delay, the staff hurriedly ran to report to their superiors. After exiting the monster hunter's mission tower, the cold wind blew. Long Houchen was slightly more clear-headed. However, when he looked at Kai who was hugging her slender waist, his anger rose again. If it wasn't for the error in the mission, how could Kai become like this? He could not let this matter rest. Kindness did not mean weakness. On the contrary, Long Houchen's character had always been upright, which was in contrast to his gentle appearance. As a captain, if he showed weakness in this matter, how could he command his team in the future? Lu Shi walked to Long Houchen's side. Captain Long, what should we do now? Do we really go to the executive office? Our words carry little weight. The mission tower is the most important part of the alliance. I am afraid that the alliance may not be inclined towards us. Long Houchen took in a deep breath and said, but the alliance can't disappoint us. Captain Lu, you guys go back first. Leave this matter to us. I will give you an answer when there is news. What do you think? Lu Shi's expression changed. Captain Long, what do you mean? We can go through fire and water with the demons. Do you think that we will retreat when we return to our own place? Since we are going to seek justice, we will naturally go together. As soon as he said this, the other 5 soldier level number 4 monster hunters instantly became excited. They were really afraid that Lu Shi would turn timid at the last minute. That was going to be ridiculed by others. Without the general level number 21 monster hunters, they would have already lost their lives in the demons. Let's go. Long Houchen waved his hand. The 13 of them headed towards the Holy Alliance Executive Office aggressively. One must know that this was the Holy City. The Holy Alliance Executive Office was the core of the entire Holy Alliance. Coming here to seek justice was no less than giving the Holy Alliance a tight slap in the face. This kind of courage was not something that just anyone could possess. Although Long Houchen was furious, his mind was clear. The reason why he chose to go to the Holy Alliance Executive Office was that he had no other choice. Other than the Holy Alliance Executive Office, who else could restrict the Monster Hunter's mission tower? The mission tower's high status wasn't something that the few of them could shake. The Holy Alliance Executive Office wasn't far from the Monster Hunter's mission tower. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of the Holy Alliance Executive Office. Although Chen Inger was young and small, at this time, she was the one with the worst temper. Captain, tell us what to do. Long Houchen said in a deep voice, we will wait at the entrance of the Holy Alliance Executive Office and wait for the Alliance to give us an explanation. It's that simple. Chen Inger was a little dissatisfied. Wasn't this all bark and no bite? However, Long Houchen's next move made everyone's eyes pop out. The captain of the general level number 21 monster hunters walked straight to the entrance of the Temple League Executive Office and sat down with his legs crossed. Kai sat beside him in his embrace. His seat was only 3 meters away from the entrance of the Executive Office. Although he didn't block the entrance, his actions could only be described as arrogant. There were only 2 guards at the entrance of the Temple League Executive Office. They were dumbfounded when they saw the young man sitting down. For a moment, they thought their eyes were playing tricks on them. Someone actually dared to block the entrance of the Temple League Executive Office? Did he take the wrong medicine? Just as the 2 guards walked forward in shock, another group of people walked to Long Houchen's side. The 13 of them lined up in a row, almost blocking the entire entrance of the Temple League Executive Office. What are you doing? The 2 guards were already in front of them. Long Houchen raised his hand. In his hand was the Monster Hunter's token. The 21st General Level Monster Hunter Group is here to petition for an explanation from Lian Bei. Lu Shi also took out the command token of her 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad. The 2 guards who were about to take action immediately stopped. Of course, they knew what the Monster Hunters meant. Almost all the higher-ups in the Alliance were from the Monster Hunters. For a moment, they really didn't dare to take action against these young men. The 2 of them looked at each other. One of the guards quickly walked into the executive office, while the other frowned and looked at the crowd. Let's talk this out. What are you guys doing? Although he was just a guard, he was also over 40 years old. Moreover, the moment he spoke, The aura that he emitted was rather domineering. Unfortunately, his threat was useless. Long Houchen and the other 13 people didn't care at all. They just sat there motionlessly. The Sanctuary Alliance Executive Office was located in the center of the sacred city. The commotion made by Long Houchen and the rest naturally attracted the attention of passers-by. However, because of the Alliance's prestige, no one dared to get too close. Not long after, a black figure walked out of the Sanctuary Alliance Executive Office. It was none other than the Assassin Temple's Deputy Temple Master, Ing Suifeng. He also happened to run into the guard that he had met when he went downstairs. The guard hurriedly told him about the scene that had happened outside the door. Ing Suifeng thought to himself, "Who is this? How dare they block the door?" Even if the monster hunters had a high status, they couldn't slap the Alliance in the face. It seemed like they had been wronged. However, if every monster hunters were to block the door of the Temple League Executive Office after being wronged, how would that be? Hence, when he came out, he was furious. However, when he saw the people sitting at the door, he was instantly shocked. "Isn't that Long Houchen and Kair? Long Houchen, what are you doing? Are you rebelling? Hurry up and get up!" Ing Suifeng shouted angrily. Long Houchen shook his head firmly and said, "If the Alliance doesn't give us an explanation, we won't get up." "Nonsense. What explanation do we need? Get up and speak clearly." Ing Suifeng's face was full of anger. It was this kid who came to create trouble. They were just new monster hunters. They were obviously using their respective positions in the temple to create trouble. Ing Suifeng knew where these little guys came from, and he was even angrier. However, he didn't directly pull Long Houchen up. After all, Kair was here. Long Houchen said in a deep voice, "Hall Mastering, I hope that you can clarify the matter before you reprimand us. Kair has always treated you as an elder. Do you know that if it wasn't for our good luck, we wouldn't be sitting here alive?" Ing Suifeng's rage instantly reduced slightly when he heard this, and his brows knit together tightly as he said, "What exactly has happened?" Lok Shi and the others had seen Ing Suifeng before. Seeing that this Assassin Temple Deputy Hall Master actually relaxed his tone after hearing Long Houchen's words, they couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Long Houchen forcefully suppressed the resentment in his heart and recounted what had happened before. This time, Ing Suifeng's face changed. "Bastards. Mission Tower, these bastards. They actually did such a thing. Don't worry, the Alliance will definitely give you an explanation. As the Assassin Temple Deputy Hall Master, I promise you. Kids, get up first. After all, this is the gate of the Executive Office. Follow me in." Ing Suifeng heard Long Houchen's words and broke out in a cold sweat. Others might not know, but how could he not know? Although Long Houchen's team of monster hunters was far from being strong, what kind of team did they have? Just the identity of the Son of Light and the Reincarnation Saintess was enough to cause chaos in the two temples when they heard about this matter. Moreover, the other little guys weren't easy to deal with either. Long Houchen nodded silently and pulled Kair to stand up. "Hall Mastering, then I'll leave it to you." Blocking the gate was just to attract the attention of the Executive Office. He didn't really want to shed all pretense of cordiality. Ing Suifeng had already expressed that he wanted to investigate this matter thoroughly, so he naturally knew his limit. Ing Suifeng looked at Kair's completely grayish-yellow eyes with rage burning in his eyes. He said to the guard at the side, "Take these kids to the small meeting room to rest. Give the order to get them something to eat and drink. Long Houchen, wait for a moment. Today, this matter will definitely be resolved." After saying this, Ing Suifeng turned around and returned to the Executive Office. The two guards looked at each other in dismay, feeling as though a storm was brewing. Long Houchen and the others walked to the small meeting room to rest, but the entire Temple League Executive Office was alarmed. The first person Ing Suifeng looked for was Han Qiu, who was in charge of the daily affairs of the Executive Office. After he explained the matter, Han Qiu smashed his own desk with a slap. Monster Hunters was directly managed by the Temple League. Moreover, it could be said to be a system of its own. Monster Hunters were managed by themselves, and the Alliance wouldn't easily interfere with the daily affairs of Monster Hunters. Monster Hunters had always been directly managed by the Mission Tower's Tower Master. And the Mission Tower's Tower Master was held by Legend rank Monster Hunters and Demon Hunters in turn. They were only in name. After all, they also had to carry out the mission. Therefore, the ones in charge of managing Monster Hunters were actually the few Alliance Masters of the Temple League. After Han Yan's anger subsided, he immediately invited the few Alliance Masters of the other 4 Great Temples over. The 6 Vice Temple Masters sat together. What? Something like this actually happened? Sanshui Popo slapped the table and stood up. Her expression was so gloomy that it was practically dripping water. Magic Temple's sacred Magus Lin Chen's expression was also extremely unsightly. An ominous glint flickered in his eyes. The 6 Vice Temple Masters were all furious. This kind of mistake was simply too big. Furthermore, more importantly, the Monster Hunters who were carrying out the mission this time had an extremely close relationship with them. When they privately chatted, they all referred to Long Haochen and the others as the number 1 Monster Hunters in history, the Monster Hunters Crown Prince in history. Warrior Temple's Vice Temple Master Battle Emperor Ren Wuquang glared fiercely. What's going on? If this matter were to spread out, how would the Monster Hunters continue to exist? Especially those high-level Monster Hunters. They are all old seniors that even we can't afford to offend. If this matter isn't handled properly, it will be a huge problem. Temple of the Priest's Brother Temple Master Ra Shui nodded and said, "Precisely so. We must give the children an explanation. And we must quickly eliminate the effects of this matter." Han Qiu indifferently said, "Long Haochen is my grand disciple. Originally, I should avoid this matter. However, Long Haochen is our future hope for the Knights Templars. If everyone agrees, then let's make a trip to the mission tower together." Sanshui Popo unhappily said, "Avoid my ass. Chuning is my granddaughter. I won't avoid it. I will protect her. The mission tower needs to be rectified. The person responsible must be heavily punished. This isn't just malfeasance, it's murder." These 6 Vice Temple Masters directly determined the nature of this matter. Next, it was the mission tower that was in a state of chaos. As for how the matter was handled, Long Haochen and the others didn't know. When they arrived at the Alliance Executive Office, it was noon. In the small conference room, they ate and drank well for the entire afternoon. When night was about to fall, the 6 Vice Temple Masters appeared in front of them. Seeing the arrival of the 6 Vice Temple Masters, Long Haochen and the others hurriedly stood up. Han Qiu waved his hand and said, "All right, you guys sit. This time, the Alliance has let you down. We represent the Alliance to apologize to you." As he said that, the 6 Vice Temple Masters bowed towards the 13 young people in front of them. Long Haochen and the others were shocked and hurriedly bowed back. The anger in his heart also dissipated in an instant. The actions of the 6 Vice Temple Masters told them the Alliance's attitude towards this matter. What else could they say when these experts, who could be said to be revered by their grandfather's generation, made such a gesture? Han Qiu straightened his back and said solemnly, "The matter has been investigated. The responsibility lies with the negligence of the mission tower's staff. They gave out missions without checking and didn't report the problem. They allowed you to complete missions that were far beyond your capabilities, causing you to face a huge crisis. As for this, the Alliance deeply apologizes and guarantees that the same situation won't happen again. The person responsible has already been locked up. They will face at least 10 years of imprisonment to repent. The person responsible will be hanged." The punishment for the person responsible was far more severe than Long Haochen and the others had expected. This really wasn't because of the Crown Prince Corps. The impact of this matter was too bad. Long Houchen and the others still didn't fully understand the authority of the monster hunters. They were only captain-grade monster hunters. Simply put, the status of an Emperor Monster Hunter was equivalent to that of a Vice Temple Master in the Temple League. An Overlord Monster Hunter, once removed from their Monster Hunter status, would at least be a Vice Temple Master. The captain could even directly become a Temple Master. If this matter was leaked to the higher-level Monster Hunters, they would undoubtedly stand on Long Houchen's side. At that time, the Alliance would be even more passive. The Monster Hunters were heroes who risked their lives for the Alliance. When deciding on the final punishment, Han Q's words made the 5 Vice Temple Masters agree with his decision. Han Q's original words were, "We can't let the heroes be bitterly disappointed." Long Houchen took out the gemstone with the recorded image and handed it to Han Q with both hands. "Grandmaster, this is the result of our mission. Please check it. We don't know if we completed the mission or not. But we did our best. We thank the Alliance for enforcing the law impartially." Han Yen took the gemstone and sighed. "Children, you've suffered this time. Fortunately, you all came back alive. Otherwise, those bastards in the Tower of Missions wouldn't be redeemed even if they died 100 times. I hope this matter won't cast a shadow in your hearts. Don't worry, the mission rewards will not be reduced. We will give you an accurate answer as soon as possible after studying it. You must be tired after this mission. Go back and rest." "Yes, Grandmaster." Only then did the 2 demon hunt squads leave contentedly. Before leaving the conference room, Han Qian reminded them that he hoped that they wouldn't spread the news of what had happened. Long Houchen represented the 2 Monster Hunters teams and agreed. The Alliance dealt with this matter as quickly as possible so that the news wouldn't spread and cause a crisis in the trust of the Monster Hunters. After exiting the executive office, the 13 of them stopped in their tracks. Lu Shi sighed. "I didn't think we would succeed so easily." Long Houchen said, "What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. This isn't our success but the Alliance's decision. Let's go back and rest. Our reward this time won't be lower than 20,000 merit points. Once it's distributed, I'll split it with you." Lu Shi looked deeply at Long Houchen. This time, he didn't reject and just nodded silently. After interacting for a long time, he had a certain understanding of Long Houchen's personality. He knew that Long Houchen was completely sincere. Finally returning to the villa, everyone returned to their respective rooms. It could be said that in the history of the Monster Hunters, there weren't many teams that encountered such difficulty when completing their first mission. One had to know that throughout the entire process of the mission, they had encountered rank 7 enemies, and there wasn't even a rank 6 among them. To be able to return alive could only be described as a miracle. Standing on the balcony of the villa, Long Houchen let Kai lean on his arms. Feeling the fresh air brought by the plants, his heart finally calmed down. They were finally back, but Kai still needed more than 6 months to recover. Hugging her tightly, he held her small hand and gently wrote on her palm, "It's good to be alive." The next morning, the Alliance Executive Office sent news that Han Q wanted Long Houchen to make a trip. "Long Houchen, have a seat." Han Q looked at his grand disciple, who walked into his office and bowed respectfully. A slightly tired smile appeared on his face. Because of what happened yesterday, he didn't sleep at all. "Grandmaster, how is teacher?" Long Houchen sat down on the chair in front of Han Yan's new office desk. Han Q said, "He's fine. His cultivation speed is quite fast. I've already sent him to Knights Templars." After a slight pause, Han Q said seriously, "Long Houchen, we've seen the video you brought back last night. Tell us the details of the tower. This is very important to the Alliance." Long Houchen was shocked. Before he came, he had already guessed why Han Q was looking for him, but it didn't feel good to have to lie to his grandmaster. "When I woke up from my coma, the tower had already disappeared. The shrill sound didn't appear again." "Grandmaster, what exactly was that?" Han Q frowned, walked out from behind the desk, and paced back and forth. It's hard to say now. But from the vengeful spirit you recorded, it's very likely related to the necromancer that appeared 10,000 years ago. If it's the necromancer's ruins, then we can't let the demons get it. Long Houchen stood up. Grandmaster, do you need me to do anything? Han Q shook his head. This matter ends here. When you go back, tell your people not to say anything about this mission to avoid unnecessary trouble. Yes. Long Houchen hesitated, but still asked, Grandmaster, then are we considered to have completed the mission? Han Q glanced at him and suddenly laughed. You really do look like a team leader. Don't worry and go back. The people from the mission tower will look for you tomorrow. We'll have to shut your mouths. Consider it some compensation from the Alliance. Thank you, Grandmaster. Hearing this, Long Houchen's mood improved a lot. With Han Yan's guarantee, they would definitely receive more than 20,000 merit points. It was estimated to be at least 50,000 merit points. The people from the mission tower did come the next day, but it was different from what Long Houchen had expected. Because the news they brought to Long Houchen was that the mission was completed, and it was a modified mission. When they received this news, everyone from the 21st General Level Monster Hunters was stunned. We're rich. Lin Xian's ghostly wail echoed in the villa. Chapter 89. When Lu Shi led the 4th Soldier Grade Hunting Squad to the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad's villa, the eyes of the 6 of them were somewhat red. The reason was simple. When Long Houchen asked Han Yu to invite them, he only said one sentence. Mission completed, it's time to split the merit points. Mission completed. When they heard these words, Lin Xian, Lu Shi, Dian Yan, Yi Jun, Bai Xiaomao, and Han Daosi were all dumbfounded. Lu Shi even swallowed his saliva, as if he was afraid of drooling, and asked Han Yu, 20,000 or 200,000? Han Yu's reply was also very difficult. 20 as a result. When Luo Shi's group of 6 arrived at the villa of the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad, their expressions were similar to those of someone who had gone berserk in the face of the demons. Walking into the villa, other than Kair and Long Houchen, the 21st General Grade Monster Hunters were all there, and their expressions were even worse than Lu Shi's group. Especially Lin Xian, who was currently lying on the sofa, fiddling with something that looked like an abacus in his hand. He fiddled with it, and from time to time, a sparkling and translucent liquid would fall from the corner of his mouth. Hello everyone, where's Leader Long? Lu Shi once again swallowed a mouthful of saliva. In fact, he really wanted to slap himself. He was really too useless. However, if he was useless, then so be it. 30% of 200,000 merit points, that's 60,000 merit points. What does that mean? It means that each of them will get a powerful pill that can only be used once, but it can increase 1,000 spiritual energy points. It means that after advancing to the general grade, they will be able to take on more difficult missions. This increase is probably something that they won't get even if they complete the missions in the next 1 or 2 years. At the same time, it means that they will be able to walk proudly in front of the 10 new Monster Hunters teams, second only to the 21st General Grade Hunter Group, and not have to worry about being caught up. No one could remain calm. Boss went to collect the merit points. He should be back soon. You guys take a seat first. My hands are a little shaky. I won't pour you any water, Sima Xian said dryly. Honestly speaking, the members of the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad were somewhat unwilling to part with 60,000 contribution points. However, Long Houchen told them firmly, a man cannot stand without trust. Although they had played a major role in the entire mission, they wouldn't have been able to return safely without the help of Soldier Level 4 Monster Hunters. Long Houchen had completely dominated the team with his various abilities. No one objected, and the matter was settled. Commander Lu is here. A voice came from behind her. Lu Shi turned around as fast as she could since she was born. Long Houchen walked in with his arm around Kai Er's waist. His clear golden eyes were also burning with the flames of excitement. Commander Long. After calling out these 3 words, she suddenly felt as if something was stuck in her throat. She couldn't continue speaking. Long Houchin chuckled and said, "All right, don't say anything. I'll give you the merit points first. Lest I regret it. Come on." As he spoke, he pulled up the sleeve of his left arm. Under the gaze of the other 10 monster hunters, she walked to Long Houchin with trembling legs. Tears flowed uncontrollably down his face. "Long Houchin, let's not talk about anything else. If you need anything in the future, the lives of our soldier level 4 monster hunters are all yours." Long Houchin pulled his left arm so that the 2 of them could touch each other's merit points. "We are partners and comrades. However, after this, I won't dare to accept such unreliable missions anymore." After the merit points were quickly transferred, the soldier level 4 monster hunters had an additional 60,000 merit points. She wiped away her tears with her sleeve. "Long Houchin, I have an urge to spend as much as I can now. How about we all go to the trading center? On the 1st and 2nd floors we can be considered rich people." Long Houchin smiled and said, "All right, we also need to buy some things to replenish ourselves. Also, we can sell some useless things. Let's go together." At this moment, a strange voice suddenly rang out. "Wait, I have something to say." The one who suddenly spoke was Lin Xian, who had his head lowered all this time. He slowly stood up and used his sleeve to wipe the saliva from the corner of his mouth. Then, he combed his long dark green hair behind his back and slowly walked over. His steps seemed heavy and his face was unprecedentedly solemn. There was even a hint of grief and indignation in his eyes. Everyone's gazes focused on him. There was no warning before, so no one knew what he was going to do. However, from his expression, it seemed like something big had happened. Lin Xian walked all the way to Lin Xian before stopping. However, he was facing Long Houchin. "Lin Xian, what's wrong?" Long Houchin asked curiously. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Before we go to the trading center, I have something to say. This matter is very important to me. I ask the 2 leaders and everyone else to be my witness." Long Houchin's heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have thought of something, but he couldn't be sure. He just nodded slightly to him and said, "Go ahead." Lin Xian pursed his lips and suddenly turned to face Lin Xian. His movements were very fast. Coupled with his sharp eyes and elegant dark green hair, as well as everyone's gazes, Lin Xian was shocked. She took half a step back and said angrily, "What the hell are you doing?" Lin Xian's retreat seemed to have given Lin Xian great courage. He suddenly took a step forward and grabbed Lin Xian's right hand. He said confidently in a deep voice, "I've already thought it through. I've been suppressing myself for the past few days. After coming back, I finally thought it through. You have to be responsible for me. You must." Lin Xian was a little stunned by his sudden strong performance. In addition, there were so many people watching. She wanted to pull her hand back, but Lin Xian held it very tightly. "What are you doing? Let go. What do I have to be responsible for?" Lin Xian said embarrassedly. Lin Xian suddenly widened his eyes. The grief and indignation in his eyes intensified. "What? You're not going to admit it after you've done it? That was my first time. How could you do this? 2 leaders and my companions, you have to help me." As he spoke, he took a step forward and hugged Lin Xian's slender waist tightly. Lin Xian was very tall. Lin Xian was only about the same height as her. If it was someone else and they were prepared, she naturally wouldn't let him get close to her. But these days, Lin Xian's heart had always been somewhat changed. Adding to the fact that Lin Xian's move was too sudden, this guy could no longer be described as shameless. On the contrary, Lin Xian was suddenly hugged by this guy while she was still in a daze. Everyone from the 2 monster hunters teams was shocked. What was this situation? What first time? Everyone felt that their minds were in a mess. Only Long Houchin knew a little bit of the truth. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lin Xian had thought it through, but he was too. Lin Xian's sluggishness only lasted for a short moment. She quickly reacted. She was a punishment paladin. How could her strength be compared to Lin Xian's? With a struggle, she pushed Lin Xian away. Her face turned red and she said angrily, You're talking nonsense. What do you mean by your first time? You're a womanizer. How could it be your first time? It was clearly my first time. Lin Xian's explanation made Long Houchin raise his hand to cover his eyes. Sister's explanation, sure enough, everyone's eyes instantly became even more shocked. They even took a few steps back and left the center for the two of them. Although it was a sudden attack on Lin Xian was already prepared. He immediately took advantage of the situation and said righteously, Who said I'm a womanizer? Have you seen it before? Have you seen me being a womanizer? I'm an honest man, a spotless handsome young man, an honest and reliable young man. All right, since it's also your first time, I'll take responsibility for it. That should be fine, right? Fine my ass. Lin Xian was embarrassed and angry at the same time. She raised her leg and kicked at Lin Xian. She didn't use any skills or spiritual energy. It was just a normal kick. If Lin Xian wanted to dodge, he would definitely be able to. However, Lin Xian directly turned around and used his buttocks to receive the kick. Then, he let out an earth-shattering scream and directly crashed into the sofa. Ouch, it hurts. Just as Lin Xian was about to follow up and beat him up again, she sensed the strange atmosphere in the villa. She raised her head and looked at the crowd. Seeing the strange and shocked gazes in their eyes, her pretty face immediately turned as red as her rose unicorn. It's not what you think. I didn't. At this time, Lin Xian also got up from the sofa. The righteous expression on his face disappeared and was replaced with sincerity. Hitting is a sign of affection, scolding is a sign of love, and if I'm anxious, I'll kick you. It's okay, I can still tolerate it. What can you tolerate? I'll kill you. Lin Xian turned her wrist and pulled out the heavy sword on her back. She pointed it directly at Lin Xian. The soldier level 4 monster hunters standing next to Long Houchin were about to make a move, but Long Houchin raised his hand to stop them. Long Houchin knew his sister too well. In this situation, she couldn't really hurt him. He also wanted to see what Lin Yu was going to do. His words just now weren't to move Lin Xian, but to embarrass her. Long Houchin also knew Lin Xian well. Although this guy was usually a little arrogant and narcissistic, his heart was quite pure, unlike his appearance. He must have mustered up his courage to do what he did. Lin Xian directly closed his eyes. Come on, if you can do it, then just kill me. You. Lin Xian was a little flustered under the watchful eyes of the crowd. She didn't know what she was feeling at the moment. She only felt that this guy in front of her was too hateful. How was she going to live in the future? However, could she really stab him with her sword? The answer was obviously no. Even if there wasn't an ambiguous relationship between her and Lin Xian, she still wouldn't do it. Clang! Lin Xian forcefully threw the heavy sword in her hand to the ground and turned to run away. Long Houchin hurriedly stopped Lin Xian. Sister, Lin Xian said angrily, What? Even you want to bully me along with him? Long Houchin shook his head seriously and said, Of course not. You're my sister. Although we're not related by blood, I've always treated you as my real sister. I didn't know what Lin Xian said and did before. However, he bullied you like this. If he doesn't give you an explanation, as his brother, I won't let him off. Long Houchin's words were powerful and resonant, and there was a hint of anger in them, at least on the surface. Hearing this, Lin Xian's expression immediately eased up. Finally, someone was speaking up for her. Moreover, Long Houchin's eyes were extremely sincere and didn't have the strange look that others had. Lin Xian suddenly turned around. Her eyes were already a little red. All right, I won't go. Lin Xian, tell me clearly. What do you mean? Lin Xian took a few steps forward and stood there. At this moment, he was a little uneasy. Lin Xian, I'm sorry. I know what I did just now made you feel a little awkward. However, these days you've been ignoring me. I don't know how to make you listen to a few words from the bottom of my heart. Now, in front of everyone, I must say what I've been suppressing in my heart. At this moment, his face no longer had that fake expression from before. The eyes were the windows to a person's soul. When he said this, his face was also a little red, and there was even some uneasiness in his eyes, but more than that, there was excitement. Lin Xian suddenly realized that she didn't dare to look directly at his eyes. She slightly turned her head and said, "Speak." Lin Xian's gaze swept across the surrounding people. Let me first clarify something. My conversation with Lin Xian just now might have caused some misunderstanding. Our relationship isn't what everyone thinks it is. Remember when we were outside the Wailing Howl Cave? That time, Lin Xian reprimanded me because I couldn't attack. Later on, everyone helped me explain it clearly. Lin Xian felt as if she owed me something. Later on, when we were resting in the valley, she said that she wanted to repay me something. Then, she kissed me forcefully. That was her first kiss. I swear to God that was also my first kiss. Lin Xian spoke very seriously, to the point that everyone wanted to laugh but was too embarrassed to do so. Lin Xian's pretty face flushed red again. But this time, she couldn't refute Lin Xian. Because what he said was the truth. He didn't exaggerate at all. Everyone's first time should be the most memorable. It's the same for me. After that, my heart began to change. I vaguely know that that feeling should be love. However, I don't know to what extent this love is. I struggle every day because of my own thoughts, but I'm really weak. I don't have the courage to find you and say anything. I'm afraid of being rejected by you. Moreover, I can't be sure that the love I have for you is love between a man and a woman. As Lin Xian spoke, he took 2 steps forward. At this time, he was less than 2 meters away from Lin Xian. Lin Xian's breathing quickened, and his face became even redder. His actions just now made Lin Xian feel embarrassed. But at the same time, as the initiator, how could he be under less pressure? We're finally back. We're finally safe. Everyone can relax. After handing in the mission, our 2 monster hunters teams also separated. We also obtained a lot of meritorious deeds together. However, although my heart was excited because of the meritorious deeds, it was still heavy. I suddenly realized that not being able to see you every day actually made me feel pain. I felt like I missed you. Not being able to see your face made me feel an indescribable sense of loss. Only then did I realize that I was really. Taking another step forward, he was already in front of Lin Xian. He slowly raised his hands, grabbed Lin Xian's shoulders, and looked straight into her eyes. I really have fallen in love with you. Hearing his words, Lin Xian's body shook violently. There was only shyness left on her face, but no anger. I don't want to endure it anymore. Unrequited love is really too painful. There's at least a 50% chance that I'll succeed in expressing my feelings to you. So, I chose to do it now. Perhaps, in the near future, our 2 demon hunt squads will each carry out their own missions. Perhaps in the future, wanting to see you again will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens, or perhaps, we won't be able to return to this place in our next mission. I don't want to face the possibility of death with regret. I'm sorry for causing you trouble, but I'm sincere. I hope you can give me a chance. As he spoke, Lin Xian's hands slowly moved down from Lin Xian's shoulders and turned to hold her hands. At the same time, he knelt on one knee in front of Lin Xian. Rich fire elements also rose at this moment, and dazzling roses that looked like they were carved out of rubies quietly condensed behind Lin Xian. Lin Xian was completely dumbfounded. At this moment, her mind was completely blank. She was already in her 20s. If she was an ordinary girl, she would have married and had children long ago, but she had never had any experience with a man. When she was a teenager, she fell in love with a man with her best friend, but that man did not choose her in the end. At this moment, Lin Xian, who was kneeling in front of her on one knee, was much stronger than that man. For a moment, Lin Xian's heart was in a mess. These days, Lin Xian's heart was in a mess. How could she not be in a dilemma? What Lin Xian said just now touched her the most was that he didn't want to face the possibility of death with regret. The others did not speak. Under Long Houchen's signal, they quietly walked out of the villa, leaving the space for the two of them, and gently closed the door for them. Lin Xian knelt on one knee. Although the fire elements rose behind him and condensed into fiery red roses, his hands were very cold and sweaty. "I'm older than you." Lin Xian held it in for a long time and suddenly said this. Lin Bao hurriedly said, "It doesn't matter. A woman who is 3 years older can hug a golden brick, and a woman who is 5 years older than her mother. You're not much older than me. You're not even 5 years old, right?" Lin Xian laughed and scolded, "Who's your mother? Get up." As she said this, she held Lin Xian's hands and pulled him up. Lin Xian was overjoyed. You agreed?" Lin Xian snorted, "I didn't agree." As she said this, she glanced at the fiery red roses around her body. No sincerity at all. After saying this, she pushed Lin Xian away, turned around and walked out. The flaming roses turned into spots of red light and disappeared in the air. Lin Xian was stunned at first. Then, he clenched his right fist and waved it hard, shaking his dark green hair behind him. "It's a success. Waha." When Lin Xian walked out of the villa, she naturally met everyone's gaze again. She said angrily, "What are you looking at? You guys are in cahoots with that annoying guy. I'm going back to rest. You guys go to the trading center." After saying this, she ran away as fast as she could. Long Houchen looked at Lu Shi doubtfully and murmured, "Is it a success or not?" Lu Shi laughed and said, "Obviously it's a success. Leader Long, you don't have as much experience in this aspect as I do." As he said this, he suddenly saw Kai in Long Houchen's arms, so he naturally couldn't continue his words. At this time, Lin Xian also walked out from inside. Looking at his happy, valiant, and high-spirited look, everyone knew that the two of them were almost there. Sima Xian grabbed Lin Xian with a jealous face. "Brother Yao, treat us." Han Yu picked up Lin Xian from the other side. "It's a feast." Lin Xian laughed heartily. I'll treat you guys to medicine, how about it? Go to hell." Long Houchen looked deeply at Lin Xian, but didn't say anything. However, his eyes had already told Lin Xian many things. "Come, let's go to the trading center. I want to buy a gift for Xin." Lin Xian strode out. Chen Inger made a face. "You're so shameless." Did she really agree? Just call her Xin or Xin. Lin Xian turned around and said proudly, "Why didn't she agree? I'm sincere. From now on, Xin is my life, more important than my own." Long Houchen walked past Lin Xian. "Let's go to the trading center." The soldier level 4 monster hunters didn't say anything. To them, if Lin Xian and Lin Xian could be together, it would be a good thing. After all, it would greatly strengthen the relationship between the two monster hunters. The strength of Long Houchen and the others had been clearly seen by the soldier level 4 monster hunters. Moreover, from the process of this mission, both sides had gone through a certain amount of training. Moreover, they had obtained great benefits. If they could continue working together in future missions, it would obviously be very beneficial for the growth of the soldier level 4 monster hunters. The monster hunters trading center wasn't very lively. Although there were many things here, there weren't many people buying or selling. After all, there were only about 200 monster hunters in the entire Temple League. Many of them were out on missions, and only a few stayed here to rest. To be able to set up a stall here, One had to be a monster hunter or one of the trading center's own people. At this moment, there were a few men and women in their 30s standing at the entrance of the Monster Hunters Trading Center. They were chatting from time to time. Old 5, we only need 10,000 merit points to be promoted to commander level. Boss is training in seclusion, and we can't carry out missions these days. Why don't we sell some equipment to get the 10,000 points? A slender middle-aged man wearing a wind element magic robe said. The one he called Old 5 was a strong man with a very sturdy figure. He was over 2 meters tall, with broad shoulders and a broad back. He wore a warrior's suit and his muscles were tight. However, he had a pair of small, narrow eyes. His eyes flashed with light from time to time. How can it be that easy? That's 10,000 merit points. Before Boss went into seclusion, he specially reminded me that if we come across any good equipment or medicine, we can buy them at our discretion. Everyone is also eager to be promoted to commander level. But how much equipment do we need to sell for 10,000 merit points? It will definitely weaken our overall strength. Even if we become commander level, how can we complete missions with our strength weakened? Old 3, don't come up with any rotten ideas. There were a total of 3 of them, and one of them was a woman. This woman was wearing a summoner's magic robe. Hearing this, she smiled and said, "It's not completely impossible. The sooner we become commander level, the stronger we will be. 5 years ago, we had 10 new Monster Hunters teams, but now only 6 teams remain. The other 5 teams have already been promoted to commander level. Only we are left." The strong warrior called Old 3 said in a low voice, "Sixth sister, do you have a way?" The woman's appearance was average, but her eyes were extremely lively. She said in a low voice, "Of course I have a way. Do you remember what happened half a year after we became new monster hunters? If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have been promoted to commander level until now. We aren't worse than others." Old 5 said unhappily, "Don't mention it. Wasn't it because of that bastard who pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger? He cheated us of our merit points. That time it was all my fault. I was impulsive. Not only was my merit points cheated, but it also affected my mentality. Until now, I'm still lingering at the bottleneck of the 6th order, unable to break through." The woman called 6 said, "At that time, the demon hunt squad that deceived us said that it was to teach us a lesson, to let us be honest people. We went to the Alliance to complain, and the answer was the same. Since the Alliance doesn't care, they will do it. Can't we do it?" Old 5's eyes lit up. "You're saying," the woman nodded and said, "the new batch of hunting teams has officially started their missions. I heard that a few teams have completed their missions and returned. Who knows, we might have a chance. As long as we have enough merit points, you can work hard to break through to the 6th order. When Boss comes out, we will immediately be promoted to commander level." Old 3 frowned and said, "That's not good. If we do what we don't want done to ourselves, what's the difference between us and those fellows from back then?" The woman smiled and said, "Third brother, you're wrong about that. This isn't a bad thing. After that blow, we've been very careful when we carry out our missions. Don't forget, those Monster Hunters teams that were eliminated due to casualties were no worse than us, but we were the ones who persevered. So, we're doing a good deed." Old 5 laughed and said, "That's right, 6th sister is right. We're doing a good deed. We're helping those new monster hunters train their mentality. But 6th sister, where are we going to find new monster hunters?" The woman pouted in a direction and laughed softly. "Look, aren't they here?" Old 5 looked up and saw a dozen people walking towards the trading center. There was no need to use any other method to identify them. Their age was enough. The man and woman walking at the front looked to be less than 20 years old, and the young man was hugging the girl. "Fifth brother, it's time to make amends. Deal with these newbies the same way those people treated us." Old 5's eyes lit up and said, "All right, I'm going. Just wait for my good news." As he spoke, Old Five strode towards the dozen young men and women with his head held high. The targets were none other than General Level Number 21 Monster Hunters and Soldier Level Number 4 Monster Hunters. Just as Long Houchen and his companions were about to reach the trading center, a strong man suddenly blocked their way. "Hello, little brother. You're new monster hunters, right?" Old Five stopped Long Houchen and said with a smile. Long Houchen nodded subconsciously. Although they were already general level, it was not wrong to say that they were new monster hunters. Old Five smiled and said, "That's right. The mission tower asked me to look for you to issue an internal monster hunters mission." "Hello, Senior. We've just returned from a mission. Why is there another mission for us?" Long Houchen asked doubtfully. Old Five laughed and said, "Don't be nervous. It seems that you've encountered a lot of trouble during the mission. Don't worry, there's no danger in this mission. It's an internal mission and also a test for you new monster hunters." The two monster hunters teams stopped. They were somewhat doubtful of Old Five's words. However, the Demon Hunt Trading Center wasn't a place where just anyone could come. The trading center, the mission tower, and the villa where the monster hunters lived were all in the same area. There were powerhouses guarding the outside. It was not easy to enter without the identity of a monster hunter. As the fifth brother spoke, he pulled up his left sleeve, revealing the merit medallion inside. "This is my merit medallion. I'm a warrior of the 8th General Grade Demon Hunt Squad. Everyone calls me the fifth brother, you can also call me that." Seeing the merit token, Long Houchen and his companions' doubts were greatly reduced. They were all monster hunters and were comrades. Naturally, their vigilance was greatly reduced. "Senior, what mission did the mission tower give us?" Long Houchen asked. Old Five said, "The mission is very simple. I'm the target of your mission. In view of your outstanding performance in the mission tower has given you an internal mission. This mission can also be considered a reward mission. If you can complete it, you'll receive a lot of merit. You can use your own merit as a wager and choose one of you to challenge me. As long as you win, I'll pay you 10 times the merit." Hearing his words, Long Houchen's companions all had the urge to give it a try. That was 10 times the amount of merit points. Moreover, they were very confident in Long Houchen. However, Long Houchen did not agree impulsively. He only said politely, "Senior, we should be able to choose whether or not to accept this mission. You're a General Level Number 8 Monster Hunters member. How can juniors like us be a match for you? We don't even have the chance to get a reward." Seeing Long Houchen's clear gaze, the fifth brother felt somewhat ashamed in his heart, but when he thought about how he could be promoted to a commander-grade demon hunt squad, he immediately threw away that guilt and said firmly, "You don't have to worry about this, the mission pagoda won't give you missions that are completely impossible to complete. Although I'm a General Level Number 8 Monster Hunters member, I'm the weakest in the team. I'm only at the 5th step. I haven't broken through to the 6th step, so you guys have a chance. Furthermore, I won't use any weapons during the duel. Of course, you can choose not to accept this mission. There's only one chance. If you let it go, there won't be another. Boss, as long as he's at the 5th step, we still have a chance," Lin Xian whispered in Long Houchen's ear. "Lu," she said calmly, "Senior, how can you prove that you're at the 5th step? Did you bring the wager?" Old Five smiled and said, "Of course I brought it. However, according to the rules of the mission, you guys can't bet less than 1,000 merit points. If I win, that will be my reward. If the merit points are too little, I won't show up. During the duel, my strength at the 5th step and the merit points will be notarized by the Sanctuary Alliance's trial field. Then, we'll start the competition. You youngsters are really cautious. Are you afraid that I'll cheat you?" Lu Shi smiled and said, "Senior, don't think too much. It's not easy for us to earn merit points. Of course, we have to be careful. Then, let's discuss and decide if we want to accept this mission. Is that okay?" Old Five nodded and said, "Of course, I'll be over there. Come and find me when you've made up your mind. As he spoke, he turned around and left. After old Five left, Lin Xin immediately whispered to Long Houchen excitedly, "Boss, this is a good chance. 10 times the merit points. If we bet everything we have, we can get millions of merit points in return." Long Houchen said unhappily, "Are you dreaming? How can there be such a thing as a pie falling from the sky? Just now I felt that old Five was a little strange. If this was a mission issued by the mission tower, there should have been a mission tower staff to bring him here. But he came looking for us directly. Also, your imagination isn't reliable. He's a general class Monster Hunters member. If he had millions of merit points, he could rely on it to get promoted to the general class. Why would he come here to carry out a mission? Long Houchen, you're really smart. This guy is here to cheat us of merit points," Lu Shi said with a strange expression. Long Houchen looked at Lu Shi suspiciously. Lu Shi said in a low voice, "This is a way for veteran monster hunters to bully new monster hunters. The Alliance doesn't care. It's said that it can increase the vigilance of new monster hunters. Actually, this trick isn't very clever. But for new monster hunters who have just experienced the difficulty of a mission and know the value of merit points, the temptation of 10 times the merit points is too great. Therefore, there are many new monster hunters who fall for this trick. I have an elder who is also a member of the monster hunters, and he fell for this trick." Lin Xin was dumbfounded and said, "It's actually a scammer? Aren't they afraid that we'll expose them?" Lu Shi shrugged and said, "What's the point of exposing them? It's better to beat them at their own game. That warrior's level 5 cannot be fake." Chapter 90. Although Long Houchen was kind-hearted, he was not inflexible. The other party had already bullied him. How could he just let it go? "I don't have absolute confidence, because all sorts of variables could appear. Even if the other party is at the Type 5, he should be at the peak of the Type 5, and his combat experience is definitely not less than mine," Long Houchen said indifferently. Wang Yuanyuan said, "Leader, how confident are you?" Long Houchen smiled, his bright smile causing Wang Yuanyuan to stare blankly. 90%. 90%? Lu Shi stared at Long Houchen with wide eyes. "Houchen, can I take the liberty to ask, what level are you at now?" His confidence in Long Houchen mainly came from his powerful mount, Haoyue, and the light elemental sprite. Long Houchen looked at OL5, who was waiting at the entrance of the trading center. It should be about the same as him. Peak of the Type 5? Lu Shi sucked in a breath of cold air. Not to mention him, even the 21st general level monster hunters were looking at Long Houchen with a strange look in their eyes. When they were carrying out the Wailing Howl Cave mission, Long Houchen's internal spiritual energy was only a little over 3,000, and there was still an insurmountable distance to Type 5, Level 9. But in such a short time, he actually reached the peak of the Type 5? How did he do this? Sima Xian rubbed his hands, lowered his bald head and leaned close to Long Houchen's ear. "Boss, what are we waiting for? Someone is giving us a big gift. We have to ruthlessly swindle them. 1,000,000 merit points is impossible, but since they are veteran general-level monster hunters, I think their bottom line should be 100,000 merit points. We only need to bet 10,000 merit points. Even if we lose, it's nothing." "Lose your head, how can boss lose? He lied to us, let's torture him to death," Lin Xian said fiercely. At this time, he was in a state of excitement, and when he spoke, his original narcissism added a bit of arrogance. Long Houchen blinked and said, "Isn't 10 times the amount a bit too high? That's not good, right?" "Lin Xian, I'll give you the merit points first. I'll just keep 10,000 merit points." As the person in charge of the entire team's finances, Lin Xian was naturally in charge of the merit points. Not only was he a miser, but he was also a miser. His bargaining skills were also quite good, and he was the perfect god of wealth for the team. Chen Ying burst into laughter. "Leader, you've also learned to be bad. Long Houchin said that he would leave 10,000 contribution points to participate in this bet. Lin Xian rolled his eyes, and an idea came to him. After collecting more than 100,000 merit points, his expression was one of excitement and craftiness. Long Houchin strode towards the trade center's entrance, directly in front of OL5. He didn't need to pretend anything at all. His slightly immature appearance was already very convincing, so much so that even the slightly worried old third and old sixth, who had come up with the bad idea, were greatly reassured. How much cultivation could such a young fellow have? No matter how outstanding he was, at most he had just broken through to the 5th order. OL5 had already been a demon hunter for 5 years, and who knew how many times he had risked his life on missions. Senior OL5, I'm willing to complete this mission from the mission tower. In your opinion, how much should I bet? Long Houchin asked respectfully. OL5 smiled. Whatever. It depends on how many merit points you have. Long Houchin hesitated for a moment, then said, Our team just completed a mission, and we've also obtained some merit points from the previous trial. We have about 10,000. Can I bet it all? As he spoke, he lowered his head in embarrassment. Fortunately, the rest of the general rank number 21 monster hunters and soldier rank number 4 monster hunters didn't follow. Otherwise, their impression of Long Houchin would definitely change. Kindness didn't mean honesty. Obviously, he wasn't being honest right now. OL5's eyes lit up, but he was also slightly wary. He subconsciously looked at OL6 beside him. OL6 nodded slightly at OL5, and made a hand gesture. OL5 immediately felt reassured and said with emotion, All right, 10,000 it is. If you win, we'll pay 100,000 merit points. You go to the great trial field and wait. We'll compete in the warrior trial field. Long Houchin shook his head. The warrior trial field isn't good. I'm more used to the night trial field. OL5 was slightly stunned and laughed. Why? Are you afraid that I'm lying? Alright, the night trial field is fine too. Thank you, Senior. Long Houchin bowed again and turned to leave. As he turned, he couldn't help but curve the corner of his mouth. Seeing him leave, OL3 couldn't help but say, OL5, I'm afraid that kid isn't simple. 10,000 merit points is a huge sum for a new monster hunters. Back then, we only lost 5,000 merit points, and it almost caused the whole team to collapse. If he dares to take out 10,000 merit points, he must have some confidence. Should we find out which team he's from? OL5 said proudly, Third brother, the older you get, the more timid you become. Could it be that his age could be faked? Give it to me, sixth sister. As he spoke, he extended his hand to OL6 beside him. The woman raised her wrist, and an exquisite sculpture emitting strong magical waves floated directly into her palm. OL5 gestured to OL3. With this, do you think I'll lose? Let's go, third brother. Let's go borrow merit point. We'll talk after we have 100,000 merit point. Long Houchin told his companions the location of the duel. Let's go. We'll wait for them there. Lin Xian chuckled. Boss, you guys go first. Captain Luke Shi and I will take a stroll around the trade center. Long Houchin thought that he wanted to buy a gift for Lin Xian, so he casually agreed and led the others to the night trial field. Lin Xian and Luke Shi looked at each other, and the two quickly entered the trade center. Not long after, news spread from the first and second floors of the trade center. A new monster hunters wanted to challenge OL5, the 8th general level monster hunters. This news was very obscure when it first spread, but it quickly spread to the first and second floors of the trade center, and all the monster hunters who had set up stalls knew about it. Moreover, it was said that someone had specially opened a betting booth. Long Houchin arrived at the night trial field. After explaining his purpose, the staff in charge of the field led him in with a strange expression. The staff naturally didn't say anything. This was a matter between monster hunters, and they couldn't interfere. Han Yu said in a low voice, Master, be careful. That person is a monster hunter who has gone on many missions. His combat experience isn't weak. Long Haochen nodded slightly. I understand. Sima Xian said leisurely, old Han, don't be nervous. We'll just wait to collect the merit points. We've earned enough this time. We don't need to go on missions for the time being. We'll wait for the vice captain to recover first. Sima Xian was the same as Han Yu. He was now completely convinced by Long Haochen, and regarded him as his boss. Not to mention anything else, just the substantial increase in his cultivation speed after his innate internal spiritual power made Sima Xian full of admiration for Long Haochen. One must know that he was Long Haochen's third retainer, the knight. Long Haochen had to take a considerable risk. Long Haochen and the others sat in the rest area and waited. However, after a while, OL-5 still hadn't arrived. Many people walked in from outside. These people's ages couldn't be considered too old. At most, they were middle-aged. After entering the trial field, they immediately found a place to sit. Among these people, Long Haochen saw a few familiar faces. For example, Yang Wenjiao's soldier level 2 monster hunters, and Duan Yi's soldier level 3 monster hunters. All of their members had come. These two captains directly came to Long Haochen's side and sat down. Yang Wenjiao glanced at Chen, who wasn't far away, and said in a low voice with a somewhat helpless expression, Brother Long, I heard that you guys caused quite a ruckus this time. Long Haochen naturally knew what he was referring to. He straightened his shoulders and said, Such a big mistake at the mission tower doesn't just affect our team. Yang Wenjiao nodded in agreement and said, The Alliance dealt with it in a timely manner. Otherwise, it would definitely arouse the dissatisfaction of all the monster hunters. Speaking of which, how did you find the Admiral Level 8 monster hunters? This is a scam. They're all experienced monster hunters who are trying to cheat us of our merit points. We met them before, but I refused. Are you confident? Long Haochen smiled and said, I definitely don't have absolute confidence. However, we newcomers can't always be bullied by others. Even if we can't win, it doesn't matter. We're fighting 1 against 10, and I'm only betting a small amount of merit points. Yang Wenjiao finally felt relieved and said, That's good. Just treat it as training your combat strength. There's no need to say anything. We're fellow comrades, so I support you guys. I've already bet 100 merit points on you guys at the betting table. Betting table? What betting table? Long Haochen asked with a puzzled expression. Yang Wenjiao said in surprise, Isn't that betting table set up by your people? It's Lin Xian. And soldier level 4 monster hunters, Lu Shi. Alright, how did Lin Xian get together with Lu Shi? Although the betting table he set up is very high, if you lose, I'm afraid you'll also have to pay a considerable amount of merit points. Long Haochen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, That money grubber. I was wondering why he went to the trading center. You guys were also informed by him, right? Yang Wenjiao chuckled and said, Not only did he inform us, but he was also in charge of spreading the news. Those general-level veterans always want to bully us newbies. With this incident, even if we don't protest to the Alliance, the other teams in the same batch should be able to get the news, so that we won't be tricked again in the future. Don't worry, Lin Xian is very cunning. He set up a betting table of 1 to 30. In other words, if you lose, you'll have to bet 30 merit points to win one. So you guys won't lose too much. Long Haochen said without batting an eyelid, How many people are betting? Yang Wenjiao said, Quite a few. No one thinks highly of you. Most of them are betting on that old 5 of the 8 general-level monster hunters. That old 5 is borrowing merit points. He'll probably come over in a bit. How many merit points did you bet? Why does he still need to borrow? Long Haochen smiled, revealing a set of white teeth. 10,000. What? It wasn't just Yang Wenjiao. Even the calm Duan Yi couldn't help but exclaim. You're crazy. How much effort do we have to put in to earn 10,000 merit points? Even if you don't think for yourself, you should think for your companions. Yang Wenjiao's tone even carried a hint of reprimand. Who are you to decide how much our captain is betting? We're willing. We're not afraid even if we lose. Chen Ying's indifferent voice sounded. Yang Wenjiao looked at her and said in a low voice, Ying, don't make a fuss. I'm talking business with Brother Long. Chen Ying made a face at him and said, What business? Look at how stingy you are. You only bet 100 merit points. You still have the nerve to bet that much? Long Haochen saw that Yang Wenjiao's expression was somewhat ugly. He gave Chen Ying a look. Don't worry, Brother Yang. If I dare to bet so much, I naturally have some confidence. On the other side, Duan Yi suddenly stood up, turned around, and walked out. Yang Wenjiao said doubtfully, Brother Duan, where are you going? That old five will probably be here soon. We have to support Long Haochen. Duan Yi glanced at him and said, I'm going to bet on Long Haochen. With that, he turned around and walked away quickly. Yang Wenjiao immediately reacted after a brief moment of surprise. He looked deeply at Long Haochen and also stood up abruptly. He turned around and ran out. His movements were even faster than Duan Yi's. They were all smart people. If Duan Yi understood, how could he not? What kind of person was Long Haochen? In the Monster Hunters preliminaries, he suppressed the two of them. In the team competition afterward, he was even more skillful, leading the number 1 soldier Monster Hunters to the final championship. Would he do something he wasn't sure of? What did it mean to bet 10,000 merit points? The odds were 1 to 30. If Long Haochen won, there were more and more people in the night trial field. In just a short while, at least 50 people had already poured in. And the number was still increasing. Unsurprisingly, these people were all demon hunters. The number 8 general-level monster hunters, Old 3, Old 5, and Old 6, came together. They also knew that someone had opened a betting stand. But they didn't care. It was just earning merit points, so it was good to share it with everyone. Lin Xian and Lu Shi almost followed behind them and directly came to Long Haochen's side. Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi followed behind them, but they didn't look too good. You went to open a betting stand? Long Haochen looked at Lin Xian with a burning gaze. Lin Xian laughed and said, Don't worry, boss. I have a plan. I didn't take much merit points. The maximum bet per person is limited to 10,000. Only then did Long Haochen's expression relax. If they caused a large number of general-level and soldier monster hunters to go bankrupt, wouldn't they become the target of everyone's hatred? They were originally the weaker side, but now they would be viewed as enemies. Long Haochen, quickly take care of this kid Lin Xian. He's too unfair. We increased the bet, but he didn't accept it. Yang Wenjiao's angry voice was heard. Because Lin Xian and Lu Shi sat next to Long Haochen, Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi could only sit a little further away. Lin Xian said with a wronged expression, It's not that I didn't want to accept it. It's you guys who came late. I can't do anything about it. You only rushed over when the bet was already over. Right, old Lu? Lu Shi seemed to have become familiar with Lin Xian in such a short time. She nodded repeatedly and said, Isn't that right? We can't do anything about it. We still have to find the staff of the trading center to handle the betting stand. Time is limited, please come earlier next time. Long Haochen and Lin Xian looked at each other, revealing some doubts. A hint of disdain appeared on Lin Xian's face. He said in a low voice, It's true that these two guys bet 100 merit points on us, but they also bet the upper limit of 10,000 merit points on that OL5. Now they want to go back on their words? What were they doing earlier? Long Haochen was speechless. Sigh, some people's merit points really weren't worth the heartache. As he thought about it, he lightly patted Kai-er's small hand. Kai-er nodded. Only then did he stand up and walk towards the training field. He didn't need to do anything at all. The staff of the Knight training field had already invited a 7th-tier Holy Knight from Knights Templars to be the judge of this competition. Of course, it wasn't for nothing. 500 merit points were to be given to this Holy Knight, who was also a demon hunter. The merit points were to be paid by the winner. OL5 also walked into the field. Looking at the indifferent Long Houchen, who had already changed into the Holy Spirit armor, he felt somewhat ashamed. He smiled faintly and said, "Little brother, have you thought it through? It's not too late to reduce some merit points." Long Houchen shook his head and said, "There's no need. Since I'm already here, I'll take a gamble." That 7th-tier Temple Knight looked at Long Houchen, and his expression suddenly became somewhat strange. However, he quickly recovered and nodded to the two of them. "All right, transfer the merit points you've bet to me." The two of them transferred their merit points one after another. The Temple Knight said, "This is just a competition. If one side admits defeat or loses the ability to fight, they will be judged as the loser. They are not allowed to injure or kill their opponent. Once I find that one side is unable to withstand the other's attack, I will stop the competition. There are so many demon hunters watching this competition, and they are all impartial." A light flashed in Long Houchen's hand, and the Holy Spirit sword appeared in his hand. He tapped the blade on his left shoulder and performed a standard knight's salute to the Temple Knight. OL5 also slightly saluted to the Temple Knight. Under the signal of the Temple Knight, the two of them slowly pulled away from each other. "Begin!" the Temple Knight shouted. Long Houchen did not release any other weapons. He only held the Holy Spirit sword in his hand and performed a standard knight's action. He stepped forward and charged at OL5. OL5 was also wearing heavy armor. His armor was obviously much thicker than Long Houchen's Holy Spirit armor. Although it was only a piece of magic equipment, its defense was obviously stronger. His weapon was a pair of battle axes. He was actually an axe warrior. OL5's battle axes were quite large. The blade was like half a wheel, and it emitted a faint cold light and a strong magic fluctuation. Each of the axes was inlaid with a diamond-shaped blue gem. Facing Long Houchen's charge, OL5 laughed and strode forward. He was tall and strong. Coupled with his heavy armor, he was like an iron wall. In front of him, Long Houchen seemed too weak. Seeing that the two of them were about to collide, OL5 swung the axe in his left hand down and slashed at Long Houchen. However, he did not attack with the axe in his right hand, but kept it in front of him. Facing the powerful axe with strong spiritual fluctuations, Long Houchen suddenly stopped. The Holy Spirit sword in his hand froze, and he made a standard defensive posture. With a loud clang, a golden light shone. Long Houchen did not move, but OL5's axe was shaken. At this moment, the Holy Spirit sword in Long Houchen's right hand stabbed out at lightning speed, creating countless sword shadows. It was lightning pierce. Long Houchen was only using a single sword. OL5 couldn't even tell if he was a Guardian Knight or a Punishment Knight. Divine Block is a Guardian Knight skill, but Lightning Pierce is a Punishment Knight skill. Divine Block? These words appeared in OL5's mind. He immediately became more cautious. He quickly waved the axe in his right hand in front of him to block Lin Li's lightning pierce. However, Long Houchen's lightning pierce was too fast. OL5 couldn't block all of them. At least 5 or 6 swords pierced his thick armor, making a series of metallic sounds. They even left 5 or 6 dents on his armor. Although Long Houchen didn't use any other skills, it was still a stab with light's vengeance. Naturally, its power was not small. OL5 quickly took 2 steps back and swung the 2 axes in his hands horizontally in front of him. Dense spiritual energy fluctuations burst out along with 2 green rays of light, blocking Long Houchen's pursuit. At this moment, his evaluation of Long Houchen had greatly increased, and he no longer looked down on him. A Guardian Knight who could use Divine Block and Lightning Pierce. Moreover, based on his attack power, He could tell that Long Houchen was indeed a rank 5 knight. How old is he? It seems that I really have to go all out in this battle. Two swish swish swish, two golden sword lights slashed out, blocking OL5's two axe lights. Long Houchen advanced again. Assault. OL5 roared and turned his body halfway, his pair of axes slashing towards Long Houchen like a meteor. After the previous test, he no longer held back this time. Dense green spiritual energy burst out of his body, and his pair of axes emitted a dazzling light. The axes seemed to have become transparent. The tyrannical spiritual energy fluctuations brought about a whirlwind, like a raging wave rushing towards Long Houchen. Axe warriors were a type of berserker, and were completely inclined towards attack. They were somewhat similar to Punishment Knight, except that they didn't have mounts. A knight's attributes were mainly of the light attribute, but this was not the case for warriors. They had all kinds of attribute. Long Houchen, who was in the midst of an assault, suddenly leapt 3 feet horizontally in the air. His movement was so abrupt that OL5's axes couldn't lock on to him. Long Houchen's feet turned illusory, and he had already moved diagonally behind OL5. Not only did he dodge OL5's heavy slash, but he also found an opportunity to attack. Lightning stab. It was still lightning stab. However, this time, he encountered an obstruction. The dense green spiritual energy was full of resistance. A series of spiritual energy ripples splashed, and his lightning stab couldn't penetrate at all. OL5, whose axes had missed, instantly twisted his waist, and his whole body turned into a green whirlwind, crashing towards Long Houchen. Whirlwind slash. This change in attack speed was extremely fast, and OL5 even borrowed the power of the two axes. As a demon hunter, how could his strength be ordinary? Divine block. Amidst a violent collision sound, even Long Houchen, who was using the divine defense, was sent flying several meters back. Meanwhile, the green light that OL5 had transformed into chased after him like a shadow. The sharp green light instantly intensified, and OL5's figure could no longer be seen clearly. The golden light of light's vengeance shone on his body. Long Houchen crossed his left hand and raised his right hand. Blue rain and hibiscus of light had already appeared in his hands. Dazzling golden light instantly blossomed from his chest. Condensed liquid spiritual power spread throughout his entire body and dyed his holy spirit armor a holy golden color. Long Houchen didn't retreat, nor did he use his royal divine guard to block. With a strange hum that only he could hear, he raised both swords in his hands at the same time. Thousands of lightning spikes transformed into a rain of light that rushed towards OL5's green ball of light like quicksilver. Is he crazy? When they saw Long Houchen's two swords unleashing lightning stab at the same time, almost everyone had the same thought. Using lightning stab to block the warrior's powerful whirlwind slash? That's a fool's dream. Whirlwind slash was one of the most powerful offensive skills for warriors below grade 6. Although it was more suitable for group battles, the power of a head-on collision was still terrifying. Whirlwind slash was different from Long Houchen's circular blade of battle slash. Compared to whirlwind slash, the consumption of the circular blade of battle slash was less. This was because the warrior had more dexterity and needed to borrow the enemy's strength to increase his own power. Otherwise, Long Houchen would not be able to use such a powerful skill at grade 4. On the other hand, whirlwind slash relied entirely on the warrior's own strength. Using his legs to drive his waist and back, and then pouring it into his arms, the spiritual energy in the rapid rotation superimposed and exploded. The attack time was not as long as the circular blade of battle slash, but the instantaneous explosive power was even better. Facing the warrior's whirlwind slash, the knight's best choice was to dodge out of the attack range. Whirlwind slash could not be sustained for too long, and it consumed a lot of spiritual energy. However, OL5's attribute was wind. Although he had a strong body, his speed was unexpectedly fast. When Long Houchen was sent flying, he had already caught up to him. Facing an attack like Whirlwind Slash, which had a strong suction force and terrifying attack power, Long Houchen's 9 dragon steps could not completely dodge it. Compared to Whirlwind Slash, Lightning Thrust was only a Grade 2 skill of the Punishment Knight. Compared to a Grade 2 entry skill and a Grade 5 pinnacle skill? Even if he had both hands, what could he do? Break the sword and die. However, as the referee, the Temple Knight, did not have the slightest intention to intervene. Instead, he looked at Long Houchen with a surprised gaze. The sky full of light rained down on the green ball of light. That was the sound of rain hitting a banana leaf. That was the sound of gold and green colliding. Most of the spectating demon hunters were Grade 4 to Grade 6. Only a few of them could see the collision clearly. However, those who could see clearly could not help but open their mouths wide, their eyes filled with shock. Under normal circumstances, Lightning Thrust's weak attack power would have been directly repelled by Whirlwind Slash. Even the sword would be sent flying. However, when Long Houchen's Lightning Thrust collided with OL5's Whirlwind Slash, amidst a series of strange sounds, Long Houchen was able to stab deep into the green ball of light at every moment. It was like stabbing a thick needle into a fan that was spinning rapidly. The spinning speed of OL5's Whirlwind Slash was slowed down by the rain of light. When his figure reappeared on the battlefield, he staggered and almost fell to the ground. Who knew how many puncture marks were left on his armor and battle axe? Fortunately, Whirlwind Slash's attack power was strong enough, and these marks did not penetrate his body. However, the magic array on his armor had clearly been broken. Did Long Houchen use Lightning Thrust? Of course not. Jiang Yi named his new self-created skill Demon Destruction Flash. His understanding of the skill came from Lightning Thrust, Blue Rain, and Hibiscus of Light's intricacies. In addition, there was Long Houchen's self-created Light Ripple. During the 1-month journey back, Long Houchen perfected this skill. Of course, its power could not be compared to Lightning Thrust. Of course, the spiritual power consumption was comparable to a level 5 skill. More importantly, the greatest advantage of this skill was that it could be used as a basic skill. After adding other skills, it could produce various changes. For example, Holy Carving was very compatible with it. Long Xingwu had told him that if it was a self-created skill, the best choice was to strengthen the basic skill. This was because all complex and powerful skills were derived from basic skills. Strengthening a basic skill was equivalent to strengthening all the skills related to it. Today's battle with OL5 was the first time he tested out the complete version of his Demon Destruction Flash. With one successful strike, he broke through OL5's Whirlwind Slash under everyone's shocked gazes. The one who was most shocked was naturally OL5 himself. Although Demon Destruction Flash did not pierce his body, the faint pain throughout his body was so real. Whirlwind Slash, my Whirlwind Slash was broken just like that. From the beginning, OL5 wanted to use his cultivation to suppress Long Houchen. Previously, Long Houchen's Divine Block did not attract his attention. After all, as the Guardian Knight's signature skill, Divine Block's defensive ability was extremely strong. However, at the same time, Divine Block's defense required strong judgment and could not be used as a form of defense. Without the support of a companion, it was limited in a one-on-one battle. However, in this exchange, the two of them were facing each other head-on. Whether it was his weapon or spiritual power, he was the one being suppressed. A trace of uneasiness rose in OL5's heart. Before this, he had never thought about the consequences of losing this match. However, at this moment, he had no choice but to think about it. His back instantly felt a chill. I can't hold back anymore. This young knight is definitely not simple. A loud roar rang out from the fifth brother's mouth. Then, his already majestic body suddenly swelled up, giving off a powerful pressure like that of a mountain. Berserk transformation. At the same time, he swung his left arm, and a ball of silver light flashed beside him. Immediately after, a huge figure instantly enlarged. It was a tall warrior covered in armor. However, this warrior did not have any signs of life on him. This was the small statue that OL6 had given him. It was a metal puppet made from the secret art of gold cultivation. It was extremely strong, and its strength was comparable to a peak rank 5 warrior. It was a two-handed heavy sword. I can't lose, I definitely can't lose. With a resolute aura, OL5 suddenly took a step forward. The thick green light suddenly became sticky, and his speed and strength all increased explosively. In a flash, he appeared in front of Long Houchen and launched an attack with all his might. The metal puppet circled around from the side and attacked from behind Long Houchen's side. Its pair of giant carvings slashed continuously. All of this happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint. When the whirlwind slash was broken, OL5 reacted immediately. Long Houchen did not face him head-on again. Facing the attacks of the two, he once again launched an assault. With a sudden increase in speed, he passed between the metal puppet and OL5, escaping from their joint attack range. At the same time, a golden light shone from his chest. The light elemental spirit Yiting, who was flapping her 4 wings, had already flown into the air. Her hurried incantations reverberated throughout the entire area with her pleasant voice. The moment she appeared, a layer of bright flames ignited on Long Houchen's body. What followed was simply Yiting's performance time. After 2 evolutions, the light elemental fairy displayed a powerful support ability. Faith Aura, Blessing of Protection, Trusty Aura, and Spirit Gathering Aura. The 4 great buff skills were activated almost every 2 seconds. They fell on Long Houchen's body one after the other, to the extent that the 4 auras under Long Houchen's feet overlapped into a magnificent magic pattern that was half a foot thick. Who didn't recognize an elemental spirit stove? This was one of the best support stoves. Moreover, the demon hunters present were the elites of the Alliance's younger generation. Naturally, they could see that the 2-foot-tall, 4-winged Yiting floating behind Long Houchen was definitely not a low-level elemental fairy. Yang Wenzhao and Duan Yi were stunned. Previously, Long Houchen's demon-vanquishing flash had already shocked them. Now that they saw the evolved Yiting, they suddenly realized that after these few months of hard work, the gap between them and Long Houchen seemed to have widened. The metal puppet had no intelligence, only battle instincts. When Long Houchen tried to escape, it had already caught up. With a clanging sound, its feet touched the ground, and it suddenly leaped up, slashing at Long Houchen. When OL5 saw the light elemental fairy, he was stunned for a moment. He was a step too slow, but his heart became even heavier. A warrior was already at a disadvantage against a knight, but until now, this young knight had not even summoned his mount. Moreover, why wasn't his spiritual power suppressed? Could it be that he was also a peak rank 5 knight? No, impossible. How old was he? A peak rank 5 knight who wasn't even 20 years old? This was impossible. With the determination to win, OL5 followed closely behind, following the metal puppet as it charged at Long Houchen. A dragon's roar resounded throughout the entire arena. Everyone seemed to see a giant golden dragon suddenly soar from the ground. Facing the incomparably strong metal puppet, Long Houchen once again chose to face it head-on. The moment the rising dragon's strike was launched, the flames of light surrounding his body had already been transformed into the flames of the sun by Yiting's incantation. Throne of God, Yuer will see you every day. Dense light elements burst out from his chest like a jet. Relying on the eternal melody and the saint's spiritual stove that was about to evolve, Long Houchen already had the ability of a rank 6 Radiance Knight's spiritual aperture. Hum, hiss, a strange sound rang in the air. The entire knight's training field was completely illuminated by the rising golden light, as if there was another sun in the sky. The metal puppet's tall figure unexpectedly melted in the golden light of the dragon's roar. When its body was enveloped by the resplendent holy light, it never appeared again. Chapter 91. The fifth brother's speed was very fast. Behind him, there was a long green light. His body exploded, and the strong green light converged into the shape of a fierce tiger. Accompanied by a pair of battle axes, it went straight to the golden sun in the sky and bombarded. He knew that this was his last chance. However, many times, things always went against one's wishes. A golden light fell from the sky, and the previous dazzling brilliance, as bright as the sun, instantly converged into one. All the green color was unexpectedly cut apart by this golden light that fell from the sky. The dazzling golden light chopped the ground in front of the fifth brother, making a loud bang. The incomparably sharp golden light exploded in an instant. With the fifth brother's cultivation, he couldn't even struggle in the face of this sharp light spiritual power. His whole body was blown more than 10 meters away by the aftermath of the attack before falling to the ground. The golden light converged, revealing the true appearance of Long Houchen. He seemed to be slightly out of breath, and his face was also a little pale. But under Yiting's buff magic, everything was quickly recovering. After testing, Long Houchen found that this warrior was definitely not his opponent. The fifth brother's ability was a pure wind attribute axe warrior. Even after going berserk, it was impossible for his internal and external spiritual power to break through to the 6th rank. Long Houchen had never retreated when facing the 6th rank demons, let alone the fifth brother who was not even at the 6th rank. In a situation where he didn't have particularly powerful equipment, he had no chance against Long Houchen, who had the light elemental fairy. As for the metal puppet, after all, it was only a puppet, not a real person. It didn't know how to be flexible, and could only attack with pure strength. The blazing fire of the sun coupled with the rising dragon strike, its body had already melted before it could explode with its full strength. How could it withstand the next attack of the rising dragon strike? And Long Houchen's last attack was naturally the Shura Chop, which consumed up to 1,000 spiritual power points. Although it wasn't charged, the terrifying attack of the Shura Chop still became the power to break the demon. If it wasn't for Long Houchen's mercy, the fifth brother's body would have been cut in half. Dang 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 dang. 2 broken axes fell to the ground. The power of Shura Slash coupled with the sharpness of Blue Rain and Hibiscus of Light wasn't something a heavy axe could withstand. Long Houchen did not continue his pursuit. He just watched as OL-5, who was sent flying, slowly got up from the ground. Old Fifth was indeed in a sorry state. His heavy armor had already been destroyed by the demon-killing Flash and Shura Chop, and he had also lost his weapon. However, he was still in his berserk state, and his eyes were bloodshot. With a roar, he charged at Long Houchen. OL-3 and OL-6 stood in the resting area with pale faces. Their brains had even lost the ability to think. He recalled Blue Rain and Hibiscus of Light and switched them to Holy Spirit Shield. Long Houchen took a step forward and used the Holy Spirit Shield to block the attack head-on. With a loud bang, OL-5, who was charging at him, was knocked back 3 steps, while Long Houchen himself also took a step back. Even if OL-5 did not use any skills in his berserk state, his strength was still quite strong. The reason why he lost was not because he lost in battle experience. Instead, he lost in terms of spiritual power control and skills. Long Houchen's self-created skills and Shura Slash could be said to be at the level of a top-notch secret skill. On top of that, he was the Son of Light and had the help of the Light Elemental Sprite. In a situation where the cultivation of both sides were almost equal, how could OL-5 have half a chance? At this moment, OL-5 was close to going crazy. He shouted, "I can't lose, I can't lose." After being knocked back, he immediately rushed forward again. There was no order to it. Long Houchen didn't even need to waste any strength to deal with OL-5, who had already lost consciousness. He dodged OL-5's charge, and the Holy Spirit carving struck OL-5's neck. With a muffled groan, OL-5 fell to the ground. The whole place was silent. From the start to the end of the battle, it did not take long. The whole process was simple and clear. Long Houchen had completely suppressed OL-5 and did not give him half a chance. Those who participated in the bet and came to watch the battle were almost all soldier-level and general-level monster hunters. Long Houchen, as a newly promoted demon hunter, had actually defeated a demon hunter from the previous year. This meant that he had completely disregarded the gap of 5 years. Not only did he win merit points, but Long Houchen had also let the general-level and soldier-level demon hunters know him through this battle. OL-6 and OL-3 of the general-level number 8 monster hunters quickly walked into the arena and helped OL-5 up from the ground. They did not have any resentment, but their faces were full of bitterness. 100,000, that was 100,000 merit points. And not all of it was theirs, some of it was borrowed. It could be said that this blow had affected their whole team. At least for a year, they would not be able to break through to the general level. Moreover, this matter was decided by the 3 of them. How were they going to explain it to the rest of the team? The Temple Knight walked to Long Houchen's side and handed the merit token to him. "Well done. Young man, your strength is not bad. Which Monster Hunters team are you from?" Long Houchen said, "General level number 21. "Thank you, Senior Judge." After deducting 500 of the 110,000 merit points, they were all injected into Long Houchen's merit token. Frankly speaking, when he saw the expressions on OL-3 and OL-6's faces, his heart softened. He even thought of returning the merit points that he had won. But in the end, he held back. It was not that he was unwilling to part with the 100,000 merit points, but he did not want to encourage the greed of the general level number 8 monster hunters. If they did not want to win his merit points, why would they do this? Pitiful people must be hateful in some way. Wasn't it a lesson for them to lose? Moreover, if he returned the merit points now, what would the demon hunters who had placed their bets think? Would they think that they had colluded with each other to deceive everyone? Long live the commander! The general level number 21 monster hunters and the soldier level number 4 monster hunters had already swarmed into the arena. Long Houchen was thrown into the air by the excited crowd. OL-3 and OL-6 silently left with OL-5. They had all heard the words, general level number 21. They had actually reached the general level, and that young knight was their commander. Lin Xin and Lu Shi quickly calculated their earnings and distributed the bets to the demon hunters who had placed their bets on Long Houchen. Of course, this was only a small minority. Duan Yi and Yang Wenzhao's expressions were somewhat ugly. Each of them had won 3,000 merit points at a ratio of 1 to 30, but they had still lost 7,000 merit points. What they had thought was a sure win had turned into a crushing defeat. They did not even linger and left with their tails between their legs. Soon, Lin Xin and Lu Shi's numbers were tabulated. The total bet this time was 230,000 merit points. 30,000 was given to the winner, making a profit of 200,000 merit points. The capital came from Lu Shi and Lin Xin's team's merit points. Due to the ratio of both parties' contributions and the fact that Long Houchen was involved, Lu Shi only received 20% of the profit. Even so, he still managed to obtain 40,000 merit points. Lin Xin had also made a lot of money for the general level number 21 monster hunters. The team's total merit points had already exceeded 300,000, not to mention the general level monster hunters. Even the general level monster hunters would not be able to have so many merit points at the same time if they were not an experienced team. "We're rich. We're really rich this time. Waha, waha ha ha ha." Lin Xin was so excited that he was dancing with joy. His long, dark green hair was swinging back and forth as if he was doing a head-shaking dance. "Come on, let's go back. It's not a good time to go to the trade center today." Long Houchen waved his hand and pulled Kai along, bringing everyone back to the villa. They had just won so many monster hunter merit points. It was clearly not a good time to go to the trade center now. Lu Shi and the others left in high spirit. This time, they were even more determined to ride on Lin Xian's coattails. When Long Haochen and the others returned to the villa, they looked at the excited Lin Xian. Long Haochen said, "From today onwards, don't leave the villa. Everyone will meditate for 10 days." Lin Xian was stunned. "Boss, it's not that serious, is it?" Long Haochen glanced at him coldly and said, "If you hadn't opened the bets, it wouldn't have been that serious." Han Yu said, "The bets were all from the general level and warrior level monster hunters. We won almost all of them. To them, a few thousand or even 10,000 merit points is not a small amount. Monster hunters should be partners, not enemies. If we offend them too much, I'm afraid we'll be isolated." Chen was a little indignant. "Are they the only ones who can win against us, and we can't win against them?" Long Haochen said, "The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Although it's not that serious among us monster hunters, we still have to keep a low profile. Otherwise, the feeling of being isolated won't be good. Simply put, if all the monster hunters don't sell to us, will it affect us?" Chen pouted and didn't say anything. Long Haochen said, "Our total merit points have already exceeded 300,000. In other words, we have enough to strengthen ourselves and even promote to the general level. You've all seen Kai-er's situation. Before she recovers, I don't want to take on any more missions. In the next 6 months, I hope everyone can strengthen themselves and strive to reach the 6th order. If we succeed, the next mission we take on will be at the general level of monster hunters." 6th order? Apart from Kai-er, who couldn't hear anything, the other 5 stared at Long Haochen in shock. Lin Xian muttered, "Boss, that's impossible. We're only at level 2 or 3 of the 5th order. Even if we try to break through to the 6th order, I'm afraid only you and the vice captain have a chance. Not to mention breaking through the bottleneck in half a year, it's not even possible for us to reach the 4,000 spiritual energy points required to break through to the 6th order." Although Long Haochen had already established his authority in the team, what he said was too unbelievable. Advancing from the 5th order to the 6th order was a huge leap, a qualitative change. Long Haochen's gaze swept across everyone. "What if we add in the Holy Spirit pill? We have 300,000 merit points now, and the Holy Spirit pill costs 10,000 each. Each of us can take it once. The earlier we take it, the more effective it will be. It's perfect for our current situation." Lin Xian laughed bitterly. "Boss, I understand what you mean. What I said just now already included the Holy Spirit pill. The Holy Spirit pill can increase our spiritual energy points to above 3,000, but to reach 4,000 in half a year will be difficult. Furthermore, I heard that breaking through to the 6th order is many times more difficult than breaking through to the 5th order. Many people have been stuck at the peak of the 5th order for years without a breakthrough. Is it possible for us?" Long Haochen fell silent, as though he was thinking about something. Everyone thought that he was affected by Lin Xian's words. Sima Xian hurriedly said, "Boss, it's not a problem for us to meditate for half a year. We'll go as far as we can. Since we have so many merit points, we can just wait for the vice captain to recover before taking on missions." Long Haochen shook his head. "I'm 70% confident that we can break through to the 6th order in half a year. I've thought about it and decided to tell everyone about it. However, I hope that everyone can keep this a secret. Otherwise, if word gets out, it will cause a lot of trouble or even panic. Our monster hunters will probably cease to exist." As soon as he said that, everyone's expression changed. Long Haochen had always been reliable, and since he said it was so serious, then it must be. Sima Xian had an impatient temper, and could not help but ask, "Boss, just what happened?" Wang Yuan, who had been silent all this while, suddenly raised her head. "Could it be related to the Wailing Howl Cave? That pagoda?" Long Haochen nodded silently. Han Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. Boss, I heard grandfather say that the pagoda seems to be related to. He paused here, before solemnly saying, I swear that I will not divulge anything that Master said today, or the heavens will destroy me, and I will never be able to reincarnate. Everyone else understood, with the exception of Kair, who could not speak. They all swore. They all realized the seriousness of the matter, and at the same time, they also felt the opportunity in Long Houchen's words. Looking around, Long Houchen said in a low voice, Yuan guessed correctly. What I want to talk about is that pagoda. In fact, I lied to Lu Shi and the others, as well as the Alliance. With Hao Yue's help, I entered the pagoda and discovered its secret. This pagoda is called the Eternal Sleep. While saying that, he unbuttoned his shirt, revealing the eternal melody on his chest. The Eternal Sleep, also known as the Tower of Eternity, was left behind by a necromancer called Electrolux 10,000 years ago. That necromancer called himself the Holy Law of Necromancy, the Eternal Sleep Calamity. Within this Tower of Eternity, there is a strong aura of death. Just as the paladin Captain Han Qian had said, their team could be called the Crown Prince's team. Therefore, they naturally knew a lot more than ordinary professionals. Everyone's expression froze when they heard the words necromancer from Long Houchen's mouth. They all thought of that dusty legend. Chapter 92. The words Necromancer Knight had a huge impact on the 21st General Grade monster hunters. Every one of them had a frightened look on their face. Long Houchen released a layer of divine light cover, isolating the outside world from the outside world. Only then did he narrate his experience in the Tower of Eternity in detail. Since he had already made his decision, there was no need to hide anything. The whole process wasn't complicated. Long Houchen only used less than half an hour to narrate the whole process, including the details. The villa was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Long Houchen's narration not only shocked them, but also changed their understanding of the world. Just the fact that the holy necromancer Electrolux was of the light attribute was enough to shock them to the extreme. How could a necromancer be of the light attribute? After Long Houchen finished his narration, he didn't say anything. He knew that his comrades would need some time to digest his words. After no less than a quarter of an hour, Lin Xian dryly opened his mouth. Boss, then do you want to inherit this necromancer's legacy? Long Houchen shook his head. Of course not. No matter what attribute a necromancer has, he is still a necromancer in the end. He once brought a huge disaster to humanity. If not for him, we wouldn't have had such a hard time facing the demons right now. How could I learn a necromancer's ability? Boss, I feel that your words are wrong. Sima Xian said, the wrong thing is a person's temperament, not their ability. Don't tell me that if we use our abilities to kill people, we won't make a mistake? Although necromancers have a fierce reputation, if they use their abilities to deal with the demons, I feel that there's nothing wrong with that. Since that holy necromancer chose you as his successor, I feel that you shouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. As long as we use it to deal with the demons, it's fine. You can't. Han Yu anxiously said, Sima, don't come up with random ideas. Although what you said makes sense, necromancers are still rejected by the Alliance. Us humans have suffered greatly from it. If the guild leader learned necromancy, he would definitely not be allowed in the Alliance. Captain was the Scion of Light. To the Knights Templars, he is our hope for the future. He would definitely become a Knight of the Seal in the future. Is a Knight of the Seal weaker than a necromancer? Qin Pinger curled her lips and said, just don't let the Alliance know. What's wrong with having one more ability? It was rare for Wang Yuan to oppose her opinion. I agree with Han Yu. After all, we live in the Alliance. With the leader's talent, not learning necromancy won't affect his development. It's better not to take risk. 2 against 2, the 4 people's gazes fell on Lin Xian at the same time. Don't look at me. I don't have any objections. I'll support whatever the leader decides. Lin Xian spread his hands, looking indifferent. Long Houchen had been quietly listening to his companions. He nodded in his heart. Although there were some who agreed and some who disagreed, they were all against the idea of learning necromancy. There was no extreme objection. Everyone, don't worry. Just as Han Yu said, I also believe that if one can become a Knight of the Seal in the future, his strength won't necessarily be weaker than learning necromancy. I also don't intend to learn it. The reason why I told you about the Tower of Eternity was to tell you that whether you learn necromancy or not, the Tower of Eternity is an exceptionally good place to train. The skill I used to kill the demon commander of the sixth step and defeat the fifth brother was called Azura Strike. It was a skill I learned after defeating a skeleton in the Tower of Eternity for the first time. Moreover, training in the tower is very beneficial to the growth of our spiritual energy. If used properly, the Tower of Eternity will greatly increase the speed of our advancement to the sixth step. Hearing his words, the 5 people looked at each other in dismay. Gradually, they were moved from the bottom of their hearts. How sensitive was the Tower of Eternity when it came to necromancers? Training in the tower could increase one's strength faster. If it was someone else, even if it was them, would they share this secret? None of them could give a definite answer. However, Long Houchen shared this secret with them. How could they not dare to move from this selflessness? Sima Xian's personality was straightforward, and his words were also the most direct. Boss, we are really lucky to have a captain like you. Don't worry, the secret of the Tower of Eternity will definitely rot in our hearts, and will never be spread. Even if it's our closest teacher, we won't tell. The other 4 nodded firmly at the same time. The Tower of Eternity had already become their common secret. They were also aware of its sensitivity, and this secret could only belong to them. Long Houchen smiled faintly. Good, since it's like this, our next goal is to enter the Tower of Eternity. However, before that, everyone's strength still needs to increase. The first floor of the Tower of Eternity is already designed for powerhouses of the sixth step. Although we are a team, it's hard to say what kind of test we will face when we enter as a whole. For safety's sake, we need to at least increase our strength. Yuan, after 10 days, go to the transaction center and buy 7 Saint Spirit pills that can increase one's spiritual energy by 1,000. All of you take them. In the following period of time, everyone needs to integrate this sudden increase in spiritual energy into their bodies, making it their own strength. Since we have enough contribution points, everyone needs to get at least 1 or 2 pieces of glorious tier equipment. After gradually perfecting our equipment, we will enter the Tower of Eternity and begin our training. We will decide what to do next after seeing the results of the training. Lin Xian frowned. Boss, isn't glorious tier equipment too expensive? Even the most ordinary one costs 5,000 contribution points. Long Houchen chuckled. You miser, although glorious tier equipment is expensive, it's much more useful than spiritual tier equipment. If we can reach the 6th step, the spiritual tier equipment's effect on us will be very limited. Meanwhile, Hui Huang's equipment will last us until the 7th step. Although we don't have enough money to fully equip ourselves, we can still add 1 or 2 pieces for each of us. Your fire cloud crystal is high quality enough, but it needs to be polished. The transaction center also has a specialized high-rank artificer, so this time it will also be upgraded. Lin Xian let out a sigh. All right. It seems like we don't have much contribution points left. Wang Yuan unhappily said, You really are a miser. We are monster hunters, and the reason we earn contribution points is to increase our strength. Only when we exchange them for battle strength will it be meaningful. Hurry up and transfer the contribution points to us. The Holy Spirit pills weren't bought in one go, and the transaction center only had 3 of these pills in stock, but they could be ordered. The first ones to benefit from the pills were Chen Ying-er, Sima Xian, and Kai-er, who had lost 4 of her senses, were the most suitable to cultivate spiritual energy. After taking the Holy Spirit pills, the three of them directly entered secluded cultivation, absorbing the medicinal efficacy and increasing their cultivation. Normally, it would take 7 days to absorb the effects of the Holy Spirit pill, but Long Hao Chun had given them at least half a month of seclusion. Relying on the effects of the pill, they would do their best to comprehend the changes in their spiritual energy, as well as improve their cultivation. In the following month, the other 4 Holy Spirit pills ordered were delivered one after another, and a Do Not Disturb sign was hung outside the villa. Apart from Long Houchen, the 7 members of the 21st General Grade Monster Hunters all entered secluded cultivation. Long Houchen was also in secluded cultivation, but he didn't take the Holy Spirit pill. The reason was very simple. His spiritual energy had already reached the peak of the 5th step, and he could start to break through the bottleneck of the 6th step. This Holy Spirit pill would have to wait until he broke through before taking it. As the time he spent in contact with it increased, Long Houchen discovered more and more of the Eternal Melody's formidable power. Although up until now, he could only feel that its effects were only supportive, he could faintly feel that this was due to his insufficient cultivation, which prevented him from fully utilizing the Eternal Melody's abilities. But even so, the Eternal Melody's effects were still powerful. With the existence of this powerful equipment, Long Houchen was able to maintain at least 3 times the usual density of the light essence surrounding him. Even more miraculously, the Eternal Melody could directly purify this light essence. This made Long Houchen's cultivation twice the result with half the effort. Adding to that the light elemental fairy Yi Yan's amplification, he was certain that his cultivation speed was at least 5 times that of an ordinary knight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to increase his spiritual energy from 3,700 to 4,000 in a short period of time. Furthermore, he started to attack the bottleneck of the 6th step again and again. For the time being, he didn't buy any equipment, because he had no use for them for the time being. It was more important to increase his cultivation first. After several difficult battles, the members of the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad all made some progress in their cultivation. Among them, Kai after taking the Holy Spirit pill, had her internal spiritual energy increase to over 3,700 units. In at most a few more months she would be able to break through the bottleneck like Long Houchen. Even the weakest among them, Chen Ing with the Holy Spirit pill's amplification, her internal spiritual energy reached 3,200. For the first time, the benefits of contribution points were fully displayed. Among them and the new monster hunters, there were really very few who could afford to buy 7 Holy Spirit pills. Of course, there was still one more, and that was the 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad that had successfully clung to him. They were also in seclusion. 2 months after Long Houchen's group ordered the Holy Spirit pills, they also ordered 6 of them. At the same time, they were no longer 4th Soldier Grade Monster Hunters, but 22nd General Grade Monster Hunters. After completing the Desolate Hissing Caverns mission, their strength increased substantially, and they finally broke through the 5th step during their seclusion. Then, they took the Holy Spirit pills and continued their seclusion. The 22nd General Grade Monster Hunter's strength also increased greatly. In terms of amplification, they weren't the least bit weaker than Long Houchen's group. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. The 21st General Grade Monster Hunters came out of seclusion one after another, and their spiritual energy had reached a whole new level. After 3 months of seclusion, Kair's internal spiritual energy had increased to 3,850, Han Yu's was 3,670, and Sima Xian's, thanks to his innate internal spiritual energy of 80, had also increased greatly, reaching 3,500. Wang Yuan's was slightly higher than Sima Xian's, at 3,560. Lin Xian's was 3,660, and Chen Ing-er's had increased to 3,320. Everyone in the team had reached the 7th rank of the 5th step or higher. However, in these 3 months, Long Houchen still couldn't break through the 6th step, and was still hovering at the peak of the 5th step. This wasn't because he didn't work hard, but because his energy had been scattered during these 3 months. Every time Long Houchen entered a state of cultivation, the memories he received in the Tower of Eternity would naturally appear in his mind, forcing him to comprehend them. He couldn't help but comprehend them, because if he didn't comprehend them, he wouldn't be able to calm down and cultivate. Long Houchen was of course unwilling to learn necromancy, so during the first month of seclusion, he was almost completely struggling with his own memories. In the end, he gave in, because if he didn't comprehend these necromancy spells, he wouldn't be able to cultivate, and wouldn't be able to break through the bottleneck. Breaking through the bottleneck required full concentration, and with these memories interfering, how could he possibly concentrate? Without any other choice, Long Houchen could only reluctantly accept this reality. Fortunately, the Tower of Eternity didn't force him to comprehend too much. As long as he comprehended a technique or some profound mystery, these memories wouldn't appear for a period of time. From the looks of it, it was to let him fully comprehend what he had learned. Long Houchen didn't expect that one day, his memories would become a strict teacher. But what could he do? Unable to resist, he could only accept. In the 2nd month, he was able to patiently break through the bottleneck, but the difficulty of breaking through from the 5th step to the 6th step was truly astonishing. Within the saint's spiritual stove, he felt that his spiritual cavities had already formed, but he was still a step away. Long Houchen could only keep accumulating, breaking through, and accumulating, and breaking through again. But he still couldn't break through this bottleneck. In the 3rd month, his spiritual cavities still hadn't formed, but Long Houchen's saint's spiritual stove seemed to be evolving. This caused his body to be in chaos for a period of time. In the end, the saint's spiritual stove was only a step away from evolving, and clearly required him to break through to the 6th step. It could be said that these few months gave Long Houchen a lot of trouble, but it wasn't completely without benefit. His cultivation speed was indeed extremely fast, but because of this, it wasn't stable enough. After these 3 months of seclusion, his spiritual energy had completely stabilized. His spiritual energy had become denser and denser, and the various abilities in his body had also been adjusted. This didn't mean that he couldn't continue to advance after reaching a bottleneck, but that if he didn't break through the bottleneck, the spiritual energy gained from his cultivation would automatically dissipate. But this wasn't the case for Long Houchen. Even if he couldn't absorb it, it didn't mean that the light elemental fairy, blue rain, and hibiscus of light wouldn't be able to absorb it either. Thus, these 3 months could be considered to have been a good thing for them. However, it was very clear that these two wouldn't be able to evolve in such a short period of time. While Long Houchen was cultivating, Haoyue was in a deep sleep. She had eaten a lot of magical crystals, but had been controlling herself from digesting them. Now that she had the time to rest, she naturally had the time to advance. However, at this time, their seclusion had no choice but to end. The Monster Hunters Mission Tower sent an urgent message, a mandatory war mission. All the monster hunters in the Holy City had to participate. If they didn't participate, the monster hunters of general grade would have 10,000 contribution points deducted as a punishment. The higher the grade of the monster hunters, the more contribution points would be deducted. This kind of urgent war mission was very rare. Only when the Alliance was in great danger would the mission tower issue this kind of mission. But it was also extremely compulsory, and the price for not participating was extremely high. Although Long Houchen's group had enough to pay a fine, it was still 60,000 contribution points. Although they could exclude their retainers, Knight and Hanyu, this was still something they were unwilling to accept. After discussing with his companions, Long Houchen went to the mission tower to accept this mission. The mission tower gave all the monster hunters 3 days to rest and reorganize. The specific content and details of the mission were not announced. The 7 members of the 21 general-grade monster hunters were all gathered in the villa's hall. Sima Yen said with an evil grin, "War mission is good, this father's cultivation has just improved a lot, it's a good opportunity to vent my anger on those little demon bastards." As he said that, he also showed off his muscles. Long Haochen said, "Since everyone is here, let's set off. Lin Xian, how many contribution points do we currently have?" Lin Xian didn't even need to check, and directly said, "We still have 264,823 contribution points. I sold some of the useless magic crystals and demons' corpses we brought back last time, so we gained a few more contribution points." Long Haochen nodded. "Okay, let's go to the transaction center. We are about to carry out an urgent war mission, and I'm afraid this mission is not much less dangerous than the one in the desolate hissing cavern. We don't need to save money, so we only need to leave 100,000 contribution points to increase the rank of the monster hunters. As for the remaining 160,000 contribution points, let's try to spend them all today. After arriving at the transaction center, each of you should look for the equipment you need. It's only limited to glorious grade and above. If you see something you like, immediately report it to Lin Xian. There's no need to inform me, just buy it. Lin Xian, you're in charge of checking, so that everyone can at least get a piece of glorious grade equipment. At this time, we can't be thrifty, so you have to buy it yourself, understood?" "Yes, Captain." Apart from Kai the other 5 people shouted at the same time. Who wouldn't be willing to buy powerful equipment? 160,000 contribution points, even if it was glorious grade equipment, was enough to buy more than 10 pieces of high-quality equipment. This was the benefit of having enough contribution points. After accepting the mission, the first thing Long Haochen did was to purchase equipment. This was clearly the correct choice, as they were not the only demon hunt squad that needed equipment. The other squads were also bound to increase their strength in the upcoming mission. If they were one step ahead, they would be able to find something more suitable for them. While walking towards the transaction center, Long Haochen asked Lin Xian, "How's the stock of pills?" Lin Xian laughed mischievously. "It's very sufficient. We have 42 great recovery pills, 25 bloodthirst pills and 25 spiritual bursting pills each. There are also the first 2 pills I made, one is the Great Energy Pill, and the other is the Fierce Pill. I used the Great Fiend's magic crystal as the main ingredient to make the cojoined spiritual boosting pill. The cojoined spiritual boosting pill allows the user's spiritual energy to connect instantly, and during the process of the spiritual energy pouring into each other, it will quickly transform into the user's attribute. It's similar to the effect of the Great Fiend Cavalry's cojoined attack technique. However, it only lasts for 30 seconds. Furthermore, this thing consumes a lot of materials, so I can only make 2 sets of 7 pills each, enough for us to adapt twice. Based on our current strength, with the 7 of us joining forces, our spiritual energy will exceed 20,000, and we will be able to contend against powerhouses of the 8th step." Long Haochen doubtfully asked, "But, after using the cojoined spiritual boosting pill, what if the person releasing the spiritual energy can't bear the huge impact of the spiritual energy?" Lin Xian proudly said, "I've already thought about this. Even the demons couldn't solve this problem, but I can solve it with pills. This involves the combination of medicines. The person responsible for releasing the spiritual energy will take the Great Energy Pill at the same time as the cojoined spiritual boosting pill. This will greatly increase the strength of his body, and his ability to bear the impact of the spiritual energy will naturally become a lot stronger. Furthermore, my cojoined spiritual boosting pill won't gather all the spiritual energy of the 7 of us into one person's body. The person responsible for releasing the skill can decide how much spiritual energy to receive according to his own body. For example, boss, with your ability, after taking my Great Energy Pill, your endurance will reach at least 10,000 spiritual energy. Against an 8th step, I'm just talking nonsense, but against a 7th step, it won't be a big problem. Looking at his proud appearance, Long Houchen couldn't help but laugh. It seems that your narcissism is justified. Although I don't want to praise you, I have to say that you really are a genius. Waha, of course. Sure enough, after some people were praised, they immediately became complacent. Sima Xian ridiculed. Has drugs, bro. Pay attention to your image. Li Xian is coming. Where? Lin Xian immediately restrained himself, his previous arrogant and insufferably arrogant appearance turning into a well-behaved and honest one. Looking around like a thief, he searched for Li Xian's figure. Speaking of which, Lin Xian and Li Xian's relationship could be considered to have been established in these past few months. Because both of them were in seclusion, they didn't have much time to see each other. But Lin Xian, relying on his shameless left side and shameless right side, was finally able to make Li Xian recognize the two of them as one person. However, this also added another symptom to Lin Xian, a strong henpecked husband. Seeing Li Xian, he was like a mouse seeing a cat, not knowing whether this was because of the aftermath of Li Xian's kiss. But what was certain was that he was really good to Li Xian, secretly giving Li Xian a lot of pills. But Li Xian wasn't willing to take advantage of him, and gave him the corresponding amount of contribution points every time. F***CK. Baldy, you dare to lie to me, be careful that I don't give you fake medicine next time. Lin Xian couldn't find Li Xian, so he immediately shouted at Sima Xian in anger. Sima Xian laughed and said, "Do as you wish. I heard Li Xian say that she hates people who don't care about the big picture the most. She likes people like our captain, who are kind, bright, and kind to others." Lin Xian snorted twice. "Isn't that just me?" Sima Xian said, "But have you heard of the saying many mouths are sharp enough to destroy the bones? If you give me fake medicine, then I can only go find Li Xian and have a good talk. With your flashy appearance, if I make up a few stories about your ex-girlfriends, would Li Xian believe me? Fine, you win. This brother is scared." Lin Xian turned his head with a face full of grief and indignation, no longer paying attention to Sima Xian. Seeing him like this, the others couldn't help but laugh. "Speaking of which, boss, last time Lu Shi heard that I could refine the cojoined spirit boosting pill, she said that she wanted to buy a set. She asked for 1,000 contribution points, and she had to provide the materials herself. You see, should I agree or not?" Long Houchen said, "How long do you need to refine this pill?" Lin Xian said, "About 10 days. From the holy city to the front lines we should still take a carriage, so it should be enough. But I can't guarantee success." Long Houchen nodded, "Then let's give it a try." On the battlefield, a single person's strength was insignificant. Having an additional familiar team to help them out would obviously increase the survivability of both teams at the same time. Moreover, Lu Shi's team had gone through these 3 months of seclusion, and their strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Although they still couldn't compare to Long Houchen's team, in view of Long Houchen's team, none of them had broken through the 6th step, so in reality, the gap between the two teams had narrowed a little. Of course, this was under the premise that Long Houchen's team hadn't bought any equipment. While they were talking, they had already arrived at the transaction center. After entering, the 7 of them directly went to the 2nd floor. Although the 1st floor also had brilliant equipment, the quantity was too little. But on the 2nd floor, at least half of the items sold were of the brilliant grade. The only difference was that the total amount of equipment sold on the 2nd floor was a lot less than the 1st. Relying on their general grade tile, the 7 of them passed through the 2nd floor. In order to save time, the 7 of them directly scattered, looking for equipment suitable for themselves. The equipment that each of them wanted to replenish was not the same. Among them, the one who didn't need to replenish was Chen Inger. After getting her contracted beast Medul, her main ability was manifested in Medul. But if she wanted to strengthen this pet, she had no way to do so. The only way was to increase her own spiritual energy. Therefore, the equipment she was looking for was similar to those that could increase her spiritual energy, stabilize her mental strength, and preferably some kind of accessory with a defensive ability. And the ones who needed to replenish the most were Wang Yuanyuan and Sima Xian. Sima Xian's role in the team was completely that of a warrior, but he was still wearing a priest's robe. Wang Yuanyuan had also never worn armor, and the only real equipment she had was the gigantic divine soul shield. Comparatively speaking, Han Yu and Lin Xian didn't have too high of a requirement for equipment. If there was something suitable, they would choose it, and if they didn't, it didn't matter. Lin Xian's fire cloud crystal had already been modified by a specialized master alchemist, turning it into a peak glorious tier fire elemental robe. He used to be the richest, and the robe he wore was also at the spiritual tier. After separating from his comrades, Long Haochen held Kair in his arms and started browsing the second floor. Every floor of the transaction center was divided into two parts: the equipment and items directly under the transaction center, and the equipment and items sold by the demon hunters themselves. Long Haochen started by browsing the goods sold in the transaction center. He planned to choose a piece of inner armor for Kair. Kair didn't need to change her weapon at all. Her dark golden dagger with the ability to pierce through armor was already at the glorious tier. Her left hand could use the dagger of samsara at any time, and whether or not to increase her weapon was still up for discussion. But defense had always been Kair's weak point. Seeing him arrive in front of the counter, a staff member of the transaction center immediately came to welcome him, respectfully saying, "Hello, how can I help you?" Long Haochen thought for a bit and said, "I want to buy an assassin's glorious tier inner armor, as well as some accessories suitable for assassins." The staff member nodded. "Please wait a moment." After saying that, he turned around and entered the inner room. After a while, he came back with a thick book in his hand. "Respected demon hunter, I have just checked, and there are a total of 4 inner armors and 3 accessories on this floor that meet your requirements. Please make your choice." While saying that, he opened that thick book and flipped to a fixed page. There was a detailed introduction of the inner armor and accessories. Long Haochen pulled Kair's small hand, reading the introduction while writing in her palm. The 4 inner armors had their own characteristics, with different emphasis on different aspects. The first item was mainly used to increase spiritual energy, but it was suitable for fire attribute assassins. It was inlaid with fire attribute gems. Kair's attribute was very special. She didn't have an ordinary elemental attribute. To be more precise, she had the attribute of slaughter, or even the attribute of death. This was the effect of the dagger of samsara on her. This kind of elemental inner armor was clearly not suitable for her. Of the other 3, one was also the same and was directly given up. Of the last 2, one increased defense, and was able to release a layer of protective spiritual energy, its defensive power comparable to an elemental shield. Moreover, it had an additional ability called Sturdy, protecting the vital points of the chest, abdomen, and back. It was enough to withstand 3 attacks from a powerhouse of the 6th step without being damaged. The other one leaned more towards the offensive power of assassins, having a powerful spiritual gathering effect. Although this was the only amplification effect, to be able to reach the glorious tier, its powerful spiritual gathering effect could be seen. At the very least, it could increase the offensive power of an assassin by 20 to 30%. After Long Haochen told Kair the functions of the 2 pieces of equipment, the 2 of them had different opinions. Long Haochen naturally leaned towards the sturdy armor with good defense, while Kair preferred the spiritual gathering armor. Because Kair couldn't hear or speak, the 2 of them could only communicate by constantly writing in their palms. Just as they were arguing, a gentle voice suddenly sounded from behind them. "Excuse me, are you Captain Long Haochen?" Long Houchen unconsciously turned around, only to see a youth behind him. Of course, this youth was much older than him, looking around 27 or 28 years old. The youth had a tall stature, taller than Long Houchen by a head. Although Long Houchen hadn't fully developed yet, his height was already close to 1.8 meters. In other words, this youth's height was already close to Sima Xian's. However, he didn't have the same kind of valiant aura as Sima Xian. His shoulders were broad, his back was straight, and he had a somewhat gentle and scholarly aura. Standing next to Long Houchen, it would be difficult to call him handsome, but this youth definitely had an honest appearance. His face was slightly round, and his eyes were gentle. At first glance, he gave off a kind of honest and sincere feeling. "Hello, you are?" Long Houchen asked with some doubts. The youth replied sincerely, "I am the captain of the 8th General Grade Monster Hunters, Zhang Fangfang." "Hello, both of you. Captain Long, may I have a few words with you?" Hearing the words 8th General Grade, Long Houchen unconsciously wrinkled his brows. The matter had already happened 3 months ago. Could it be that this person was looking for trouble today? But it wasn't surprising, after all, it was 100,000 contribution points. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to remain calm. "So it's Captain Zhang. Hello, I am Long Houchen. Please speak." Although Long Houchen had some thoughts in his mind, his attitude was very polite. No matter what kind of conflict there was between the two sides, after all, they were all monster hunters. Zhang Fangfang said, "Today, I'm here to apologize to Captain Long. Why haven't you come over yet?" The last sentence was shouted behind him. At this moment, his simple and honest face revealed a bit of stern dignity. The two somewhat unwillingly came in front of Zhang Fangfang, but when they saw Long Houchen, their complexions became somewhat ugly. Weren't they Old 5 and Old 6 of the 8th General Grade Monster Hunters? Zhang Fangfang gave them a meaningful look, and the two bowed slightly to Long Houchen. Old 5 said with a bitter smile, "I'm sorry, Captain Long. We shouldn't have lied to each other. We were wrong, and we promise that this kind of thing won't happen again. Please forgive us." Long Houchen shook his head and said, "It's all in the past. Moreover, you were the ones who suffered a loss, so how can I let the two of you apologize?" Zhang Fangfang said, "No, we definitely have to apologize. We wanted to disturb Captain Long a long time ago, but when we saw the sign on the door of your villa, we waited until now. As for the contribution points they lost, they deserved it. But this is also my fault, I didn't manage them properly. As the captain, I am duty-bound. I apologize to Captain Long again." As he spoke, he also bowed to Long Houchen. Moreover, he was much more serious than Old 5 and Old 6, bowing at a full 90 degrees. As soon as he displayed this attitude, Long Houchen's original impression of the 8th General Grade Monster Hunters immediately changed. He hurriedly stepped forward to support Zhang Fangfang and said, "Captain Zhang, please don't be like this. This matter is already in the past." Zhang Fangfang straightened his back and sighed, saying, "Speaking of which, I'm not afraid that Captain Long will laugh at us, but our team of monster hunters can be considered to be the most unlucky monster hunters team in the history of monster hunters. At that time, not long after we formed the team, we were deceived by the senior monster hunters, just like they did. We were cheated out of an extremely important 5,000 contribution points. At that time, our team almost collapsed. After that, we finally got on the right track with great difficulty, but this kind of thing happened again this time. To be honest, there were several times when I wanted to give up the position of captain. But after being together for a long time, we all have feelings for each other. How can we give up just like that? Don't do what you don't want others to do, I've already taught them a lesson." Long Houchen suddenly realized that they had also been deceived. Although he didn't have a good impression of Old 5 and Old 6, he had a good impression of this Captain Zhang. If it was him, he might have returned the contribution points he won, But he was now the captain of a team of monster hunters, and he had to consider the interests and thoughts of his companions, so he naturally couldn't say such things. Chapter 93. Zhang Fangfang wasn't a person who was tangled up. Seeing Long Houchen's somewhat hesitant expression, he straightforwardly said, "Although this matter caused a conflict between our two demon hunt squads, it's not entirely a bad thing. Didn't this allow me to get to know a young man like Commander Long? The war mission is about to begin, and we're all general-level monster hunters. Who knows, we might be given the same mission. When that time comes, I hope that Commander Long will let bygones be bygones, and help each other out against the demons." Long Houchen chuckled and nodded. "That's for sure. The demons are our common enemy." Zhang Fangfang nodded to Long Houchen once more, before leaving with his two companions. Watching him leave, Long Houchen thought for a while. His mental strength was different from ordinary people, and he was very sensitive when it came to observing people. He could feel that Commander Zhang was not putting on an act, and was truly here to apologize. This person was not simple. He was broad-minded. However, after 5 years, he was still stuck at the general level. It seemed like his luck wasn't too good. If there was anything that could help him during this war mission, he would definitely help him out. "Boss, why should we apologize? Even if we're in the wrong, that kid still won 100,000 merit points from us, and he just paid us back." OL5 retorted indignantly to Zhang Fangfang. Zhang Fangfang's expression darkened. "OL5, you're still being stubborn. What do you want me to say about the two of you? 100,000 merit points. How much effort did you guys put in to earn it? That Commander Long isn't simple. Remember, all grudges from before have to be forgotten. The war mission is about to begin. Although it's extremely dangerous, it's also accompanied by great opportunities." OL5 wanted to argue but was stopped by OL6. "Boss is right. That Commander Long isn't simple. From the looks of it, he's probably not even 20 years old, and yet he was able to defeat you. Furthermore, you gave it your all, and he won fair and square. That's the difference in strength. I think he's at least at the peak of the 5th step. Even if he hadn't broken through to the 6th tier, just by relying on the existence of the light elemental sprite, his strength was second to none among this batch of demon hunters. Given enough time, such a knight's strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds." Zhang Fangfang sighed softly and said, "If you had been more observant earlier, and at least investigated his background, you wouldn't have lost so miserably. I purposely went to inquire about Captain Long's situation. He was the champion of this year's Demon Hunt Squad tryout. The team he led also won first place in the team competition. Moreover, they were a general-grade Demon Hunt Squad that hadn't completed any official Demon Hunt Squad missions, yet they still had enough contribution points to advance. Just these 3 existences are not something you should provoke. Let go of what should be put down. It's not the first time we've had bad luck anyway." Old 5 and Old 6 lowered their heads. Old 5's eyes were a little red. "Boss, I was wrong. It's all my fault that the team has fallen into such a predicament. I'm sorry." Zhang Fangfang was actually younger than Old 5, but he had the demeanor of a big brother as he patted Old 5 on the shoulder and said, "Things have already happened. Do you think blaming you will give us back our merits? I just hope that you won't be so rash in the future. Just treat it as buying another lesson." In the end, Kai still couldn't convince Long Houchen. In a rare display of toughness, he finally bought Kai the adamantine armor. He spent 8,000 merit. Then, he bought a piece of glory-grade equipment called the invisibility necklace for Kai. The invisibility necklace could perfectly conceal one's aura, and distort space to produce an invisibility effect. Kai couldn't truly become invisible. She relied on the terrain to hide her body. The invisibility necklace that could truly hide in space, and even travel through space, could only be learned by those at the 7th step. This invisibility necklace could undoubtedly greatly increase her survivability on the battlefield. Combined with her existing abilities, she could better conceal herself. As the necklace was an accessory, it was even rarer than inner armor. Hence, she spent a total of 12,000 merits to buy it. So far, Kair alone had spent 20,000 merits to increase her strength. Long Houchen didn't plan to buy too many things for himself. He was the team leader, so he had to set an example. Hence, after buying these 2 pieces of equipment for Kair, he only brought her around the trade center. He didn't plan to buy anything else. Just as Long Houchen expected, the number of demon hunters in the trade center continued to increase. The official prices of the items did not change, but the prices of transactions between demon hunters increased due to the increase in the number of people. It was unknown what Lin Xian had bought, but now he was a seller again. Moreover, the number of people surrounding him was the highest on the 2nd floor of the trade center. Since Long Houchen didn't plan to buy anything, he brought Kair over to take a look. Lin Xian was still doing his old trade, selling medicine. Moreover, it wasn't cheap. There were only a few types of medicine. Jasper Body Protection Pill. Also known as the Vigor Pill, it could increase spiritual energy by 500 points. There were also the Spiritual Explosion Pill and the Spiritual Recovery Pill. Because of the Great Spiritual Recovery Pill and the Vigor Pill, these pills could be said to have been eliminated by Long Houchen and the rest. As for the Spiritual Explosion Pill, they had 20 of them, and that was enough. Lin Xian was a shrewd person. Fortunately, he took out his own stock and came here to sell it. The pills that Lin Xian refined obviously couldn't be compared to the pills that were sold by the officials in the trade center. However, what were the prices of the official pills? A Holy Spirit pill that cost 10,000 merit points per pill was considered cheap. The number of potioneers was extremely scarce, so the number of pills sold in the trade center was the least. Moreover, they were about to embark on an emergency war mission. An appropriate pill might very well increase their chances of survival. This caused the price of the pills that Lin Xian sold to skyrocket. Among his stock, the Jasper Body Protection Pill was the one that sold the most. At this moment, the price had actually risen to 400 merit points each. Merit points couldn't be compared with money. After all, killing a dark green dual saber demon only cost 10 merit points. 400 merit points wasn't a small amount. However, among the monster hunters who were going on this mission, most of them were at the general level. Although the price was high, the pills were still sold very quickly. As for the Spiritual Explosion Pill, it was sold for a high price of 1,000 merit points each. The Spiritual Recovery Pill was also sold for 600 merit points. Moreover, there was no bargaining. In Lin Xian's own words, he didn't organize an auction because they were all demon hunters. Long Houchen naturally wouldn't stop him. Although Lin Xian was taking advantage of the situation, selling the pills that he didn't need to his own people could increase their chances of survival on the battlefield. This was a good thing. After all, merit points were inanimate objects. Combat strength and recovery pills could be used to save lives. After a whole afternoon of hard work, everyone finally finished their shopping. "Captain, it's done. Let's go back." His companions all gathered around Long Houchen, looking at him and Kair with smiles on their faces. Looking at them, Long Houchen felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't figure out what it was. On Lin Xian's side, the pills were also sold out. Everyone went back together. They returned to the villa to rest. Back at the villa, Long Houchen said, "Everyone, don't leave yet. Show us the equipment you bought so we can get to know each other." This time, their targets were all glorious grade equipment. Every piece of equipment could increase their cultivation by quite a lot. Naturally, their abilities would also change. Only after familiarizing themselves with each other could they maintain their tacit understanding. Lin Xian said, "I'll go first. All I bought were consumables. I don't know how to attack, but I have medicine. I used all the money I earned from selling medicine to buy magic scrolls. At a critical moment, I can use scrolls to hold out for a while. Among them, there are 10 grade 5 scrolls, 5 grade 6 scrolls, and 1 grade 7 scroll that I bought for a high price of 10,000 merit points. I'll tell you all about its effects on the way to the front lines. As for equipment, I didn't buy anything. With the fire crystal staff's buff, I don't need any other equipment for now. We'll talk about it after I break through to grade 6. Long Houchen said, "All right. Yuan, what about you?" Wang Yuan said, "My divine soul shield is a weapon, so I don't need to increase it. Also, I'm not good at defense. I prefer to use shields with both hands. So, I won't change my weapon. I bought a glory grade space-type armor. It's called spatial protection, and it cost me 32,000 merit points." At this point, her face flushed. Of all the equipment she had bought, her armor was the most expensive. Long Houchen smiled. "What skill does it come with?" Wang Yuan said, "It comes with a grade 5 spatial shield. I only need to use 1/5 of the spiritual energy a spatial magician uses to activate it. At the same time, it can increase my spirit gathering by 30%. My armor has mithril added to it, so it can increase my overall strength." Long Houchen gave her a thumbs up. "It's worth it. If this armor were to be sold outside, I'm afraid it would cost an astronomical amount of money." Yuan has a good eye. Wang Yuan smiled. "I can use it until it's at least grade 7. I won't change armor before that." Clearly, she was very satisfied with her new spatial protection armor. Long Houchen said, "Did you buy anything else?" Wang Yuan stuck out her tongue. "I've already spent over 30,000 merit points. If I buy anything else, I'll be overspending." Long Houchen said, "What about the others? Who's going first?" Chening jumped up and raised her hand. Me. I didn't buy anything expensive. I just bought some medicinal pills for magical beasts. Bro doesn't know how to refine them, so I think my medul is about to advance. I spent a total of 4,000 merit points. Han Yu said, "I switched to a glory grade shield. It's called light reflection, and it comes with 3 layers of light elemental shield. Its defensive power is comparable to divine block. At the same time, it can reflect magical attack. I didn't change anything else. I spent 11,000 merit points on it." It was Sima Xian's turn. "Boss, I bought a bit too much. Don't blame me. You're right, I can't wear a priest's robe. I bought a half-body armor with the power of light. It can increase spiritual energy by 1,000 points, and it also has a skill that can extend the duration. It can extend any skill that can be used physically. It's very helpful for my berserk transformation. I spent 8,000 merit points on this armor. Also, I changed my weapon. Let me show you. I've almost filled my storage ring with this weapon." Heh. As he spoke, he was already laughing proudly. A golden light flashed in his hand, and suddenly, the dense golden light expanded. A huge object appeared in his arms. This thing was a bit exaggerated. When he saw it, even Long Houchen couldn't help but stare at it. He muttered, "This is too violent." Sima Xian laughed and said, "Boss, I'm walking the path of violence. My spiritual energy is naturally stronger than an ordinary person's. Furthermore, I have the power of light to increase my spiritual energy by 1,000 points. If I don't use this weapon, I'll be letting myself down." The weapon in his hand was very special. Simply put, it was a huge metal ball. There was nothing fancy about it. It was a meter in diameter. The metal ball was very smooth, but it emitted dense light elemental fluctuations. Even with Sima Xian's physique, it was a bit strenuous for him to hold it. Although he didn't know what material it was made of, it probably weighed at least 500 kilograms. Sima Xian proudly introduced his new partner. "This weapon is called the Vigor Ball of Light. Speaking of which, my luck is really good. Because no one wanted this thing, I bought it at a low price. I only spent 16,000 merit points. It must be known that it's plated with a layer of fine gold. Among glory-grade equipment, it's definitely a top-notch existence. Other equipment of this level are at least 30,000 merit point. My Vigor Ball of Light has a skill called Crush. It's the only skill I haven't tried. It's said that the core of the Vigor Ball of Light is a magic crystal of a rank 7 light elemental magic beast. I bought it from the trade center. It's said that if I can exchange the magic crystal for a rank 8 magic beast, my Vigor Ball of Light can directly be upgraded to legendary grade equipment. If there's enough fine gold, it's even possible for it to become a peak legendary grade equipment. If one looked closely at the huge metal ball, they would discover that there was a ring on one side of it. Apart from the ring, there was also a golden chain that was 30 feet long and about the thickness of Sima Xian's arm. Long Haochen couldn't help but ask, "Is this an enlarged version of the meteor hammer?" Sima Xian chuckled. "You can say that. I feel that this chain is a bit short. But with my current strength, it's enough. When my cultivation is stronger, I'll definitely reforge it. When I first saw this thing, I fell deeply in love with it. I've already decided that it will be my equipment for life. I'll definitely find a way to enhance it in the future." Han Yu slapped his forehead. "Sima, next time when you go out, don't ever tell others that you came from the Temple of the Priests. Otherwise, the Temple of the Priests will definitely find trouble with you. Also, when you go to the Temple of the Priests to learn magic, don't ever bring this thing with you." Sima Xian snorted. "I haven't lost face for the Temple of the Priests. What's there to be afraid of? Maybe in the future, the Temple of the Priests will even be proud of me." As he said that, he threw the huge metal ball up and down twice. Although it was only about a foot away from his palm, when he caught it, the floor under his feet showed signs of cracking. Long Haochen said, "That's it? That's all you bought?" "That's right, that's all we have for ourselves," the other 5 said in unison. Long Haochen said doubtfully, "That's not right. Although each of you has been enhanced, you've spent less than 100,000 merit points in total. Don't we have 160,000 merit points to spend? Also, Lin Xian sold quite a lot of medicinal pills. There should still be a lot of merit points left, right? It's useless to keep too many merit points. It's best to exchange them for immediate combat strength." The 5 of them looked at each other mysteriously, and a smile appeared on their faces. Lin Xian said proudly, "Boss, I knew you would say that. Of course we know that we don't need to keep too many merit points. Just now we bought the equipment for ourselves. Now it's time to buy it for you." "Me?" Long Haochen was stunned. Looking at everyone's smirk, he said, "You guys," Han Yu said, "Leader, we all saw you wandering around the trade center. You only spent merit points from Lin Xian to buy 2 pieces of equipment for the vice leader. But what about yourself? We understand that you want to save your merit points for everyone else to use. However, have you ever thought about it? You're the core of our team. You're our mainstay. Only when you become stronger can you better guarantee the safety of our team in battle. This isn't selfish at all. It's something we have to do. That's why we've decided to buy you 3 pieces of equipment." As he said that, a golden light flashed in Han Yu's hand and an ancient-looking heavy sword appeared. This heavy sword was about the same length as the Holy Spirit sword, about 4 feet long. However, it was slightly wider than the Holy Spirit sword. There were 2 grooves on the body of the sword, extending from the blade all the way to the hilt. Each of the grooves was engraved with a dragon-shaped magic pattern. There were no gems embedded on the sword. However, when this heavy sword was taken out, the temperature in the villa seemed to drop a few degrees. A thick murderous aura swept over. After being pierced by such a heavy sword with such a huge HP groove, blood loss alone was enough to be fatal. Han Yu said seriously, "This sword is called Light's Retribution. It costs 16,000 merit points. Just like Sima's Ball of Light's Vigor, we bought it cheaply. Because its usage requirements are very special, ordinary people can't use it at all. It requires the user to be of the light attribute and have an innate internal spiritual power of over 70. This light's retribution is said to have been passed down by the powerful Retribution Knight. It has been sealed in the warehouse of the trading center. After all, it's very rare for a knight to have an innate internal spiritual power of over 70. It has the instant release Holy Sword skill. Using it to release a Holy Sword will consume the same amount of spiritual power as normal, but the skill is instant release. It also has the ability to absorb spiritual power. Once it stabs an enemy, it will definitely absorb 10 points of spiritual power and convert it into light spiritual power to feed back to the user. Good sword. Long Houchen almost blurted out. Perhaps this light's retribution couldn't compare to his Blue Rain and Hibiscus of Light, but its quality was also very high. Moreover, the 2 additional skills it came with were very useful. Instant Release Holy Sword, although it consumed the same amount of spiritual power, it could suddenly burst out with a rank 5 battle skill. One could imagine its usefulness in battle. As for the ability to absorb spiritual power, it was extremely suitable for group battles, especially against low-level demons. Stabbing one could absorb 10 points of spiritual power. If it was against dual-bladed demons, Long Houchen could use Demon Extermination Flash or Ordinary Lightning Thrust to envelop 10 enemies. This would undoubtedly greatly increase his endurance on the battlefield. 16,000 merit points really wasn't expensive. Han Yu smiled and said, "When Captain has a better choice in the future, this sword can also be retired for me to use. It can be considered killing 2 birds with 1 stone." Just as Long Houchen was about to say something, a golden light flashed in Wang Yuanyuan's hand, and a 2-foot shield appeared above her palms. Brilliant Holy Shield, with the Holy Shield technique. Although it only has 1 skill, the Holy Shield technique is your Guardian Knight's rank 6 skill. Just like Light's Retribution, the Holy Shield technique on the shield also consumes spiritual power, but it can be cast instantly. However, the Holy Shield technique consumes more spiritual power. It seems to consume 300 points of spiritual power for 10 seconds. Lin Yan stretched out his right hand, and a golden light landed on the ground. Then, it instantly enlarged, and a complete set of armor including a helmet appeared in front of Long Houchen. This set of armor was dark gold in color, and the patterns on it were simple and unadorned. Although it wasn't dazzling, it gave people a majestic feeling just by standing on the ground. Brilliant Holy Armor and Brilliant Holy Shield are a 2-piece set. They come with the Guardian Knight's rank 6 skill, Holy Spirit Guard. Just like the Holy Shield technique, the Holy Spirit Guard can be cast instantly, and each use consumes 300 points of spiritual power. Furthermore, these 2 pieces are part of a set. When they are used at the same time, they will come with a set skill called Brilliant. It reduces the spiritual power consumption of these 2 pieces of equipment by 1/3, and increases the power of the skills by 1/3. Top grade. It could be said that these 3 pieces of brilliant equipment could be described as top grade. The 2 pieces of the Brilliant set came with a rank 6 defensive skill. Even if a rank 6 Radiance Knight were to use them, they would still be top-notch equipment. Moreover, they even had a practical set skill. If these 3 pieces of equipment were given to Long Houchen, he would be armed to the teeth. When he became a Guardian Knight, his overall defense would increase by a level. Even if he hadn't broken through, he could be regarded as a Radiance Knight. You guys! Long Houchen's eyes were burning. No matter how talented he was, or how much his innate leadership ability had improved, he was still a 15-year-old youth. How could he not be moved when faced with his companions who were thinking of him as much as possible? Wang Yuanyuan said, "Leader, you don't need to be so courteous. We are companions in the same team, and you are our absolute core. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to return alive from the demons. Your strength is the team's strength. Only when your strength is tyrannical enough will we have more vitality when facing strong enemies." They had chosen these 3 pieces of equipment for Long Houchen, and they were completely sincere. In fact, they had even chosen equipment for Long Houchen first, and then used their remaining merit points to choose equipment for themselves. Whenever they encountered a strong enemy, Long Houchen would always be the guardian knight blocking in front of them. His saint's spiritual stove would always attract the strongest opponents, regardless of whether he could stop them or not. Everything he had done, his companions had seen it with their own eyes. Lin Xian laughed mischievously and said, "Boss, hurry up and put it away. I'm going back to sleep. Tomorrow, make the best use of the time to refine some pills. Our current balance of merit points is less than 100,000, but I believe that when we return from this mission, we will be able to make up for the lack of merit points." His slightly red eyes swept over his companions one by one. "I won't say thanks, that would be too unreasonable. Everyone rest early, and take advantage of the time before we set off to adjust our condition to our peak." As he spoke, Long Houchen put away the 3 pieces of equipment in front of him one by one, and hugged Kair as they returned to their rooms. The other 5 looked at each other and smiled, and each of them took their newly obtained equipment and returned to their rooms in high spirit. After today's big purchase, although it couldn't be said that everyone was armed to the teeth, it was enough to greatly increase their team's strength by a level. It must be known that even among the commander-tier monster hunters, there were very few Night Knights who could be like Long Houchen and have a full set of Radiant tier equipment. What's more, their team was only at commander tier. Converting all their merit points into combat strength would definitely greatly increase their survivability on the battlefield. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Early in the morning, a total of 42 carriages were quietly waiting outside the Monster Hunters Villa district. Most of the carriages had a number on them. Among them, there were 4 soldier tier, 9 general tier, 22 commander tier, and 4 king tier. There were also 3 carriages without numbers, and they were also at the forefront of all the carriages. A total of 42 monster hunters embarked on a mission together. This was a relatively rare situation in the Temple League. There were no less than 200 Alliance elite. Moreover, they were all powerhouses who had gone through life and death battles with the demons. They quietly boarded the carriages according to their numbers. Until now, they still didn't know what their mission was. They only knew that their destination was the southern pass where the Temple of the Priests was located. Together with the 42 monster hunters, there was also a group of elites directly under the Temple League. There were only about 5,000 of them, and they were all from the 6 major temples. However, there was no need to doubt their strength. Among them, the reinforcements sent by the Knights Templars were the strongest. They were a group of 100 Temple Night Knights under the direct command of the Holy Knight Captain Han Q. They were all made up of 7th Order Temple Night Knight. What was more frightening was that all the Temple Night Knights in this group of Temple Night Knights were Mithril Foundation Night Knight. They were the true core elites of the Knights Templars. From this, it could be seen that the Southern Pass was facing a huge crisis. The Holy Knight Captain Han Q of the Knights Templars was also the overall commander of this operation. 42 monster hunters and more than 5,000 elite reinforcements from the 6 major temples were all under his command. Long Houchen and his companions boarded the carriage marked with the number 21 general rank. The mission they received was very simple. They were to follow the main group to the southern pass. The specific battle mission would be assigned after they arrived at the southern pass. Because the Holy City was located in the center of the Temple League, the distance between the Holy City and the major passes was almost the same. Under the circumstances of a rapid march, the reinforcements had already arrived at a place about 100 miles away from the southern pass. However, they had only just arrived here when the atmosphere of the entire reinforcement army suddenly became heavy. This was because even though they were 100 miles away, they could still see large clouds of smoke rising in the distance, and that direction was precisely where the Southern Guard Pass was located. The Holy Knight Captain Han Q reacted quickly and immediately gave the order to march at full speed. At the same time, he personally led the Temple Knight Squadron, as well as the 4 Emperor-tier monster hunters at the front of the monster hunters' reinforcements, as well as the members of the 3 monster hunters' carriages of unknown rank, towards the southern pass. Long Houchen and the others could see from the window of the carriage that there were more than 20 figures flying out of the 7 carriages at the front. They were as fast as lightning, and their cultivation bases were at least at the 7th order. Among the 6 people in the carriage at the front, Long Houchen could only see 6 blurs. "We're going to war. Kill those little demons." Sima Xian waved his fist excitedly. He was a true belligerent. Along the way, because it was a rapid march, everyone spent most of their time in the carriages, and they were all stifled. This was especially true for Sima Xian, who had just obtained the vigorous pill of Chong. He could no longer hold back. He had taken out the vigorous pill of light to test its power once, and the test subject was naturally Long Houchen. How to describe it? When Sima Xian swung the shackles and exerted the full power of the vigorous light pill, Long Houchen could barely resist it by relying on the Holy Shield skill attached to the brilliant Holy Shield and his own divine block. However, he was forced to retreat for 6 steps and almost fell down. Additionally, his arms were sore and numb. Of course, after that attack, if Sima Xian wanted to launch another attack of the same power, he would need to recharge his strength. The reason why he could display such power was because the vigorous pill of light was indeed abnormal. It came with a crushing skill that had super explosive power, and this skill was eternally solidified on the vigorous pill of light. The internal magic circle of the vigorous pill of light could automatically absorb the light elements in the air through the magic crystal. Therefore, this crushing skill didn't even need to consume Sima Xian's own spiritual power. What was more terrifying was that the crushing skill and the light ripple created by Long Houchen actually had a superposition effect. It could be said that the fire borrowed the power of the wind. After the superposition, even Long Houchen almost couldn't withstand it. After that experiment, Sima Xian had been suppressing his energy to test his new weapon on the demons. He really loved the vigorous pill of light. If it wasn't for the limited space in the carriage, he couldn't wait to hug this precious metal lump. Han Yu said to Long Houchen, "Captain, what level of monster hunters do you think the 3 carriages in front belong to?" Long Houchen said, "They should be Overlord level." Han Yu said with some excitement, "Could there be Legend level? Like the 6 powerhouses we met in the Exorcist Mountain Pass?" Long Houchen shook his head. "The possibility isn't high." Lin Xian said from the side, "It shouldn't be possible. Legend-level monster hunters don't need to accept any missions from the Alliance. They are the true heroes of the Alliance. They also won't live in the Holy City. Legend-level monster hunters must have a cultivation of the 9th order, but a 9th order monster hunter doesn't necessarily mean that they can become legend-level monster hunters. From what I see, the 3 carriages in front should all be Overlord-level monster hunters, just that their strength is different. The one in the front carriage is most likely a group of 6 9th order monster hunters." Wang Yuanyuan nodded. "Brother Yao's words are more or less the same. With our strength, we can't be the main force. I reckon that we can only be a supporting force. Let's kill as many as we can." This girl's belligerence was no less than Sima Xian's. 2 hours later, when the reinforcements finally arrived at the Southern Guard Pass, Long Houchen and the others finally understood why the Alliance had issued an emergency war mission. The thick smell of blood mixed with the sounds of fighting assaulted their nostrils. Just as they got off the carriage, Long Houchen's expression suddenly turned solemn. This was because he saw a total of 12 thick pillars of light soaring into the sky. 12 of the 72 demon god pillars of the demons had actually come? The thick smoke was rising from within the Southern Guard Pass, and the sounds of fighting were deafening. The battlefield was actually within the Southern Guard Pass. It seemed that this impregnable pass would soon be lost. The commander temporarily replacing Han Q immediately issued an order for all monster hunters to move freely and join the battle. The 6 great temple reinforcements were led by their respective temple commanders and entered the Southern Guard Pass. Perhaps it was because Han Q had already led a batch of reinforcements to the Southern Guard Pass, so the gates were wide open. Long Houchen was just about to lead his team into the city when he was stopped. Houchen, Luke Shi, Lin Xin, and their general rank 22 monster hunters quickly ran over, joining up with Long Houchen and the others. It wasn't just them. Yang Wenjiao led the soldier rank 3 monster hunters, as well as Duan Yi led the soldier rank 2 monster hunters. Luke Shi's speed was the fastest. She arrived in front of Long Houchen and said, "Houchen, we're used to working together. Let's move together this time. Our entire team will listen to your commands. We will absolutely carry out your orders." His voice wasn't loud, but it was abnormally firm and resolute. It was obvious that he was trying to curry favor with Long Houchen. Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi also strode over. Yang Wenjiao said, "Houchen, our 4 teams are all new monster hunters. The situation in the Southern Guard Pass is still unclear. It's very likely that we'll encounter a strong enemy. How about we move together?" Duan Yi also nodded, indicating that he agreed with Yang Wenjiao's opinion. They were the most outstanding knight of the new generation of Knights Templars. Naturally, they were very intelligent. Although they didn't know what Long Houchen and the others experienced in their first mission, with Yang Wenjiao's status as the grandson of the Chancellor of the Temple League, it wasn't difficult for him to find out that the soldier rank 4 monster hunters had followed Long Houchen and the others to complete the mission. When they saw the soldier rank 4 monster hunters board the general rank 22 carriage, Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi were fiercely shocked. What kind of magic trick was this? Long Houchen and the others had obtained a large number of merit points during the trial, but what about Luke Shi and the others? Yang Wenjiao even found out that Luke Shi and the others had also ordered a batch of Holy Spirit pills to increase their strength. Under such circumstances, if Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi still couldn't guess that it had something to do with Long Houchen and the others, they would be fools. In addition, Long Houchen's outstanding commanding ability during the trial mission. Seeing that the situation in the Southern Guard Pass was still unclear, the 2 of them were also moved and directly led their team over. Chapter 94. Lu Shi frowned and said, "You two, this isn't a good idea. If our 4 monster hunters teams are together, there will be more than 20 people. We'll be a big target, but it will easily attract strong enemies." Yang Wenjiao smiled and said, "Brother Lu's words are wrong. We don't have to stick together, we can just help each other." Long Houchen saw that the other monster hunters had already entered the city and hurriedly said, "Since that's the case, let's all enter the city together. If we encounter danger, let's notify each other with a long whistle. Help each other. Change equipment." The last 3 words were directed at his companions. Thus, under the dumbfounded gazes of the other 3 monster hunters teams, the 21 general-grade monster hunters, who were originally dressed in a full set of armor, suddenly turned around and put on glory-grade equipment that emitted strong spiritual power fluctuations. Among them, the one that shocked everyone the most was naturally Long Houchen himself. The dark golden glory sacred armor and glory sacred shield, together with the brilliance of blue rain and hibiscus of light, these 3 glory-grade equipment gave people an incomparable shock. In particular, after the glory sacred armor and glory sacred shield were equipped together, they faintly emitted a layer of dark golden luster that dyed the whole body. The set ability, Glory, had already taken shape. Moreover, Long Houchen directly threw the light punishment to Han Yu. He alone took out 4 glory-grade equipment. Of the other 6 members of the 21st General-Grade Demon Hunt Squad, apart from Chen Inger who was hugging the piglet McDull, who didn't change her equipment, the others all had at least 1 glory-grade equipment. They were all new monster hunters. Seeing the equipment on Long Houchen and the others, who wouldn't be envious, Yang Wenjiao swallowed his saliva in envy. At the same time, his heart was secretly aching. This was all the merit points they won that day. They lost. What a great loss! Long Houchen also knew that they were acting in such a high-profile manner. But what they were about to face was the chaotic situation within Southern Guard Pass. What they needed to do was not to kill as many enemies as possible, but to survive in this chaotic battlefield. Under such circumstances, how could he hold back? Let's go into the city. The four teams quickly entered the city. Although Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi had not made their stance clear, they chose to follow Long Houchen's command. It was just that they weren't as thorough as Lu Shi. The two teams of monster hunters that Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi were in had at least maintained their original formation, but Lu Shi had their general level number 22 monster hunters directly disrupted their formation, fused with the 21st general tier monster hunters. The shield warrior Dian Yen was at the front. He moved to the flank of Long Houchen, while Lin Xian moved to the other side of Long Houchen. Lu Shi, Bai Xiaoma, and King Yi bluntly moved to the center of the team. In any case, with the addition of Lin Xian and Dian Yen, the space within the formation had also increased. The assassin Han Daosi hid in the back. His intention was obvious. He wanted to cooperate with Han Yu to defend. Long Houchen walked in the front. Kai Er also climbed onto his back. Originally, according to Long Houchen's original intention, he wanted to cover her in the brilliant sacred armor. But Kai Er vehemently refused. She only agreed to let Long Houchen carry her on his back. Although she had lost her four senses, she was still the saint maiden of Samsara. Although she had lost her four senses, she was still the saint maiden of Samsara. She had grown up under the torment of the spiritual stove of Samsara. She hadn't completely lost her combat strength. At this time, Kai Er quietly leaned on Long Houchen's back. She seemed to be completely weightless. Her long legs were wrapped around Long Houchen's waist and her hands were wrapped around his neck. She did her best to not affect Long Houchen's ability to move. Although the knight and the assassin had worked together many times, this was the first time the other monster hunters had seen them enter the battlefield like this. However, no one would question anything. They had all seen Kai Er's strength. If she hadn't withdrawn, it would have been hard to say who the champion of the monster hunters' selection would have been. They entered the Southern Guard Pass. Long Houchen subconsciously raised his head to look at the sky. At this time, a marvelous scene appeared in the sky. All sorts of magnificent lights violently distorted and fluctuated in the air. It was like countless brilliant fireworks had solidified in the blue sky. Of course, these weren't fireworks. Rather, they were the most intense part of the battle. The true super experts of both sides were there. Although they couldn't see the situation in the sky, Long Houchen could faintly feel that Han Q and the others had arrived. The current situation in the sky could be considered evenly matched. At least for a short period of time, the Temple League side could still hold on. After all, they had entered the Southern Guard Pass from the rear. The demons hadn't killed their way here yet. The entire city gave off a cold and bleak feeling. There wasn't a single civilian on the street. There were only reinforcements that had just entered the city. In the distance, many houses were burning fiercely. The smell of burnt flesh and blood wafted over. It was nauseating. After Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi led their teams into the city, they immediately split into two sides. They lagged behind. They maintained a triangular formation with Long Houchen's team. At this time, they had some doubts in their hearts. In any case, Lu Shi's team had been promoted to general level. However, Lu Shi was completely willing to integrate his team into Long Houchen's team. In other words, he had completely handed over the initiative of his team. It could even be said that he had become a vassal of the 21st general level monster hunters. This wasn't something that could be explained by trust. Long Houchen summoned Haoyue and placed him in the core position of the team. Chen Ying-er and Lin Xian naturally sat on Haoyue's back. As for Lu Shi and the others, they didn't receive such good treatment. They willingly stayed by Haoyue's side. As the team continued to advance, the smell of blood in the air became thicker. However, when they saw the situation on the battlefield, they couldn't help but tremble. It wasn't fear, but a trembling that came from the depths of their souls. It was too tragic. For any war, the most difficult and cruel stage was when it entered the urban warfare stage, especially when there was no possibility of subduing the other side. They would fight to the last man standing. The demon army had a clear advantage. Whether it was in the air or on the ground, they occupied at least 70% of the offensive. The entire middle section of the southern guard pass was covered by the demon army. The Temple League soldiers were much fewer in number. However, they used their bodies. They even used their teeth to fiercely resist the invasion of the demon army. Thick blood dyed the battlefield red. Whether it was in the air or on the ground, it even felt a little moist because of the blood flowing. The dense spiritual energy fluctuations caused the various magic elements in the battlefield to become restless. Broken limbs could be seen flying through the air at any time. Roars, screams, and the mournful cries of death filled with the stench of blood were all shocking to the hearts of the onlookers. Under such an atmosphere and scene, whether it was the calm Long Houchen or the combat-ready Sima Xian, everyone's eyes gradually turned red. All the fear was dispelled by the frenzied fighting spirit surging from their bodies. Sacrificing one's life and spilling one's blood was necessary to create an atmosphere. At this moment, there was no doubt that the atmosphere had reached its peak. Go! Long Houchen roared and took the lead, charging forward with large strides. However, as the captain, he still maintained a certain level of rationality at this moment. Everyone maintained the formation. This was the only order he could give at this moment. Pfft! A human soldier's body was torn to shreds by a furious bloodthirsty demon. Blood and organs flew in all directions, and a small gap appeared in the human defensive line. 4 or 5 furious bloodthirsty demons took advantage of this opportunity to charge over. This was also the point of entry that Long Houchen had chosen to enter the battlefield. As the saying went, a dry dam would be destroyed by an ant's nest. Once the enemy broke through the formation, it was very likely that things would get out of hand. Charge! Long Houchen exerted force from his feet and charged forward with large strides. At the same time, a golden light flashed and Yiting had already flown out, floating diagonally above him. Golden halos rippled from Long Houchen's feet. Faith Halo, Blessing of Protection, True Shot Halo. The 3 halos instantly enveloped everyone in the 21st and 22nd General Teams. Violent bloodthirsty demons were one of the craziest races among the demons. The violent bloodthirsty demon that had just torn apart a human soldier at the very front saw Long Houchen charging over. It immediately roared and the thick spikes on its arms charged towards Long Houchen. Boom! Glorious Holy Shield's branch energy Holy Shield was activated. At the same time, Long Houchen's shield was also activated. The newly obtained glory grade equipment shone brightly as soon as it appeared. A layer of condensed white light appeared on the surface of the shield, turning into a huge holy hexagram. Long Houchen's charge suddenly turned into an assault. Amidst the loud noise, he collided head-on with the mad demon. The huge body of the mad demon was actually sent flying by him and collided with the other mad demons behind it. At this moment, blue rain and hibiscus of light in Long Houchen's right hand brought with them a dazzling light that filled the sky. Like quicksilver, they enveloped the mad demons. Demon destruction flash. Ear-piercing PU sounds rang out. Due to the rippling light, the demon annihilation flash possessed a powerful penetrative power. How could those mad demons possibly dodge such a swift attack? Their bodies trembled as they endured the demon annihilation flash. Blood splattered from their bodies as soon as they touched. Don't forget, Long Houchen was not fighting alone. A golden red cross slashed out. Hell's Rose, who had entered the 5th rank and was riding the Rose Unicorn, showed her might. Lin Xian's pair of flaming greatswords erupted with tyrannical combat power under the influence of her light spiritual energy. When Long Houchen first taught Light Ripple, Lin Xin and Wang Yuan had a hard time learning it. However, they persevered and did not give up like Dian Yen and Han Daosi. In the end, during the time that Long Houchen was in the Moon Demon Palace, these two girls had managed to learn this powerful support skill. And this skill of Long Houchen would definitely benefit them for the rest of their lives. At this moment, Lin Xion's crisscross slash was unleashed under the effect of rippling light. She was a punishment paladin. Attack was everything to her. A bloodthirsty violent demon that was trembling under the demon-killing flash was instantly chopped into 4 pieces. The rippling light caused Lin Xion's attack power to at least double. Moreover, she had not only broken through to the 5th rank, but had also taken the Holy Spirit pill. Her internal spiritual energy was more than 3,000. Compared to when she completed the Howling Terror Cave mission, there was a qualitative leap. She was not the only one who attacked at the same time. Sima Xian could not hold back any longer. When Long Houchen knocked away the mad demon, his huge vigor ball of light flew out. A piercing dark gold light flashed in the air. When the huge metal ball flew out, even Long Houchen's vision was blocked by its size. What happened next was like the effect of hitting a bowling ball. The remaining 4 violent bloodthirsty demons were all sent flying with an explosive roar. The bloodthirsty mad demon that bore the brunt of the attack was the most unlucky. It became the first sacrifice of the vigor ball of light. Its body was directly blown into minced meat. Not even a complete skeleton was left behind. The other bloodthirsty mad demons were also heavily injured. They were taken care of by Yi Jun's spatial magic in the air. Sima Xian laughed wildly. Metal ball against meatball, how refreshing. In the New Wave clan, the ranks were Mad Demon, Bloodthirsty Mad Demon, and Crimson Blood Demon. Although the Bloodthirsty Mad Demon's strength could not be compared to the strongest Crimson Blood Demon, its cultivation was equivalent to a 5th-rank human warrior. 4 or 5 bloodthirsty mad demons together, how powerful would their attack be? However, in front of Long Houchen's team of 13, even with only 4 people exerting their strength, the battle was easily settled. There was a powerful knight blocking the front, a punishment paladin with terrifying explosive power, and that priest. Not to mention a spatial magic general. Just like Lu Shi said, everyone had worked together before. Naturally, they had a tacit understanding. Every member of the 22nd General Grade Demon Hunt Squad took their positions very seriously. That was to start from the support General Level 21st Monster Hunters. Never attack. Full support. Everything was under Long Houchen's command. After killing the bloodthirsty mad demon, Long Houchen did not have a hint of joy on his face. The baptism of the enemy's blood did not make him crazy. Instead, he calmed down. With another charge skill, he forcibly blocked the gap that was just opened. Blue Rain and Hibiscus of Light in his right hand were fully released, blocking all the demon army that was rushing in this direction. The few bloodthirsty mad demons before were the strongest demons at the front. Behind them were the ordinary mad demons of the Shubwa clan. In front of Long Houchen's demon destruction flash, these ordinary mad demons were not enough. One demon destruction flash killed at least a dozen mad demons. The pressure on the front suddenly lightened. Changed to a defensive formation. No one is allowed to advance. Long Houchen shouted. The team's formation also changed under his command. Lin Xian and Wang Yuan were on Long Houchen's left, while Sima Xian and Dian Yen were on Long Houchen's right. The 5 of them lined up in a row, like a wall blocking in front of the Devil Race army. The magic professions at the back also began to quickly chant incantations. Lin Xian became the busiest person. Although he did not know how to attack, he was good at defense. Elemental fire shields quickly fell on the 5 people in front. From the first excellent fire shield to the end of the 5th, it actually took only a short 10 seconds. Not to mention grade 5, even grade 6 fire magicians might not be able to do this. The fire cloud crystal staff in Lin Xian's hand had completely changed. Now, he called it the fire crystal staff. Anyway, he did not admit that this name was to save trouble. The staff was bright silver, and the original fire cloud crystal was completely wrapped in it. Only the top of the staff was about a foot long. Exquisite magic patterns were engraved on the entire staff. In order not to waste any fire cloud crystal, the master who made the staff used mithril mixed with some special metals to make it. Most of the fire cloud crystal was covered in it. At the same time, he inscribed this staff with 3 enchantments. High-quality materials were indispensable to making powerful equipment. The quality of Lin Xian's fire cloud crystal was so good that it was enough to support 3 enchantments. Among these 3 enchantments, the one that made Lin Xian the most satisfied was the one that reduced the chanting time of fire magic below the grade by half. It was called the fire spell. The other 2 were added attack spells to make up for his lack of attack magic. But there was a limit to the number of times he could use them every day, so he would not use them easily. But they were all grade 6 fire magic. Therefore, his fire crystal staff was already close to the legendary level. At this moment, relying on the fire curse attached to the fire crystal staff, Shifeng could cast elemental fire shield with ease. His control over the fire element was already quite impressive, and with the buff from the fire crystal staff, he was able to wield the elemental fire shield as he pleased. His entire body was covered in a layer of bright red flames, making him the most dazzling among mages. Chen Ying was the opposite of the dazzling Lin Xian. The girl sat directly on the back of Haoyue, then raised her right fist and shouted, "Go, go! Kill them!" Well, yes, that was what she did. It was not that she did not want to participate in the battle, but it was a problem of her position in the team. Madul's power was based on the consumption of magic crystals. Moreover, Madul could not fight forever. Once he was injured, no matter how many magic crystals he ate, his strength would be greatly reduced. Therefore, this kind of expendable strength was used as the team's reserve strength. It would only be used at the crucial moment. Thus, Chen Ying, who was tightly protected in the core, could only shout out slogans. Yang Wenzhao and Duan Yi's team also split up, looking for opportunities to directly join the battle. The addition of the 4 teams of monster hunters immediately improved the situation on the battlefield, especially when a few mages in the team released a few powerful magic spells, giving the defending army some buffer time. However, the attack of the demons was extremely fierce. Not only were there many of them, but almost all of them were intermediate and high-level demons. Unexpectedly, not a single dual-bladed demon appeared. Close combat, ranged combat, and aerial combat. Under the heavy pressure from the 3 sides, the human defense line was still in danger. Long Haochen's team's defense was the most stable. As the team's core, Long Haochen's brilliant holy shield was placed in front of him. He was not greedy and focused on defense. He did not need to worry about the demons below grade 5 at all. Sima Xian beside him could take care of them. It had to be said that after the addition of 2 brilliant equipment that suited him, Sima Xian's role in the team could be said to have undergone a qualitative change. The vigor pill of light was really too suitable for this guy. The crushing branch could completely crush the intermediate and low-level demons. Every time it attacked, it could take the lives of at least a few demons, and none of them had a complete corpse. Demons also had a certain level of intelligence. Even the low-level demons had survival instincts. The power of Sima Xian's big iron ball was so fierce that the intermediate and low-level demons subconsciously avoided it. Therefore, it was naturally much easier for them to defend. However, it was also because of their strong performance that they attracted the attention of the demons. A huge blood-red figure suddenly descended from the sky. Its target was Sima Xian. The speed of this blood-red figure was extremely fast. Sima Xian was killing to his heart's content. Suddenly, he felt a strong smell of blood above his head, accompanied by a dense chill. Although his vigor pill of light was very powerful, it also had a flaw. Because of its terrifying weight, it would affect its speed when used. If he tried to defend now, it would be good if he could block the vigor pill of light above his head. However, Sima Xian did not seem to feel the threat above his head. The vigor pill of light in his hand once again flew out, smashing several dog-headed demons that were rushing over. With a flash of white light, the blood-red figure in the sky suddenly changed direction when it was less than 5 meters away from Sima Xian. The attack that should have been aimed at Sima Xian was met with a shield shining with a hexagram. Brilliant holy shield, divine block. Of course, Sima Xian was not unaware that the attack from the sky could even endanger his life. In the face of this threat, he was able to remain indifferent. This was because of his trust. Naturally, Long Haochen would not let his partner down. He activated the saint's spiritual stove and directly drew the attack from the sky to his body. Amidst the ear-piercing rumble, Long Haochen slightly retreated half a step. His body flashed with a golden light, and the blue rain and hibiscus of light in his right hand took advantage of the situation and slashed out. He did not hold anything back, directly activating the holy sword branch energy that he had stored by relying on flower grafting wood. Moreover, it also carried the power of rippling light. The 3 skills as one naturally would not be shot without a target. Through the strength of the opponent's attack, Long Haochen could judge the opponent's strength. After blocking the enemy's attack, the holy shield on the brilliant holy shield almost collapsed. Divine block was not able to completely neutralize the force, and it even made Long Haochen retreat half a step. 7th step. Without a cultivation base of the 7th step, how could he force Long Haochen to do this? At this time, the bloody figure also appeared. His appearance was very familiar to the 21st and 22nd Captain Grade monster hunters. It was the main enemy of the Wailing Howling Caves mission, the demon. Moreover, the demon in front of them was impressively a 7th step demon lord. It was also the main culprit that caused Kai Er to fall into a state where she lost her 4 senses. The demon lord held a bloody heavy sword in his hand. He was directly blocked by Long Haochen's divine block. At the same time that the wings on his back controlled his balance, Long Haochen's blue rain and hibiscus of light had already slashed over. Not only that, Lin Xian, who was on the other side of Long Haochen, also followed up with an attack. It was also a glorious sun slash, but the glorious sun slash shone with the flames of the sun and had light ripples. Lin Xian's pair of flaming greatswords were also extraordinary. Although they were not glory grade equipment, they were still existences of the spiritual demon grade. In addition to her own power of more than 3,000 spiritual energy points, the speed at which she used the flames of the sun was twice as fast as an ordinary knight. The demon lord subconsciously took half a step back and blocked with the bloody greatsword in his hand. Long Haochen's attack was 1 step faster than Lin Xian's. The evolved blue rain, the sharpness of hibiscus of light, and the power of the holy sword of light ripples were undoubtedly displayed at this moment. In the dazzling brilliance of the glorious sun slash, the bloody greatsword in the demon lord's hand was directly cut in half. Although Long Haochen also took half a step back due to the huge recoil, he could not continue his attack. However, Lin Xian's glorious sun slash landed heavily on the demon lord's body. The demon overlord let out a blood-curdling screech. An intense red light rippled from his body, forcing Lin Xian to retreat. However, an astonishing wound was left on his left shoulder and chest. Moreover, the strong corrosive effect of the light element on his body of darkness caused a plume of smoke to rise. 3 spells fell on the demon lord almost at the same time. Moreover, none of them were offensive spells. The wind binding spell, the fire flame cage spell, and the light binding spell. The 3 skills only had one purpose, and that was to restrain the demon lord. The levels of these 3 skills were not considered high, but after all, they were 3 elements at the same time. Moreover, the light binding spell itself had a suppressive effect on the attributes of the demon lord. Even if the Demon Lord wanted to break free from these 3 spells, it would still take him more than a second. It was also at this moment that the Demon Lord suddenly felt a strong threat coming from the front. He was at a disadvantage because of his equipment. Even with the strength of the 7th grade, he had no other equipment on him except for the broken bloody greatsword. At this moment, the Demon Lord's powerful combat talent made him make the best choice. He did not retreat, nor did he even try to break free from the 3 restraining spells. Instead, his whole body shone with a strong dark red light. The dark red that erupted from the Demon Lord's body made his body instantly transparent, especially his torso, which was transparent like a dark red gem. This was the 7th grade elemental body. Whether it was humans or demons, they had the corresponding ability to instantly enhance their attack and defense abilities. At this time, the Demon Lord chose to increase his defense. With a loud bang, a huge shield like a heavy axe and a huge metal ball hit at the same time. With the help of the elemental body, the Demon Lord punched out with both fists and hit the 2 tyrannical weapons. 2 muffled groans sounded at the same time. Wang Yuanyuan and Sima Xian each took 3 steps back. The bodies of the 21st General Monster Hunters and the others flashed with golden light at the same time. The soul chain and life sharing shared the damage suffered by the 2 of them. However, the Demon Lord did not feel good either. His upper body was blasted up, and his fists were badly mutilated. Wang Yuanyuan's cultivation had been enhanced by the Holy Spirit Pill, and her internal spiritual power had long exceeded 3,500. The Divine Giant Soul Shield's anti-magic effect was even more powerful. Moreover, she and Sima Xian used Light Ripple at the same time. Coupled with the crushing effect of the vigorous Light Pill, even a 7th grade Demon Lord could only protect himself and could not effectively fight back. However, at this moment, a trace of fear appeared on the Demon Lord's ferocious face. A dazzling golden light came down from above, as if it was splitting the heavens and earth. What was more terrifying was that before he could break free from the 3 restraining spells, a strong pressure was produced in the air. The intense pressure made it impossible for the Demon Lord to escape even if he wanted to. The Demon Lord let out an ear-piercing scream, and dense dark red flames instantly appeared on his already damaged fists. This attack could be said to have used all of his strength. This was because he could clearly feel the fatal threat that the golden light brought. However, what shocked him was that the dark red flames from his fists were split into 2 by the earth-shattering golden light. The unparalleled sharpness directly slashed his fists. After all, the Demon Lord's cultivation was at the 7th grade. In the face of a life-and-death crisis, his body suddenly twisted with the help of the wings on his back. His body twisted strangely like a fried dough twist, and at the same time, the power of the elemental body erupted to the maximum. Puff! Blood burst out, and minced meat, broken limbs, and viscous black blood flew in all directions. Under that powerful attack, the Demon Lord's arms were completely shattered. However, while paying the price of his arms, he still managed to keep his life. One of the sharp horns on his head was cut off, and a piece of his skull flew out. His entire right shoulder was completely cut off. The flesh on one side of his body carried large amounts of blood in the air. To be able to produce such a terrifying attack, it was naturally Long Houchen's Azura Slash, which required him to use both hands and consumed as much as 1,000 spiritual power points. Moreover, it was the Azura Slash that rippled with light. The 3 binding spells from before were the tacit cooperation between Hao Yue and Long Houchen. Sima Xian and Wang Yuanyuan's attacks were just the icing on the cake. Long Houchen's Azura Slash was the real fatal attack. The appearance of the Demon Lord caused Long Houchen's originally calm eyes to instantly regain their red color. He seemed to have seen the culprit that caused Kai to lose her 4 senses again. When this Azura Slash was unleashed, his entire spirit and his dense murderous aura perfectly combined, and he erupted with the most tyrannical attack in his history. At this moment, the importance of weapons and equipment could be seen. In terms of the number of powerhouses, humans were far inferior to the demons. Why were they able to fight against the demons for as long as 6,000 years? Not only were they not completely destroyed, but they were also gradually accumulating strength and gradually developing the possibility of a counterattack? It was because of the superior quality of weapons and equipment. Humans had magic cannons, all kinds of equipment production methods passed down from ancient times, and they had skilled craftsmen. What about the demons? The demons could not even solve the problem of eating, and they still needed to use war to reduce their population. It could be said that for the past 6,000 years, the overall strength of the demons did not increase much, while humans were steadily improving. If the powerful strength of the rank 7 demon lord could be matched with a set of glorious great equipment that was suitable for him, Long Houchen and the others might not be able to win even if they gathered the strength of 13 people. But at this moment, under Long Houchen's powerful weapons and skills, he was directly injured. A black figure instantly burst out from behind Long Houchen, rushing towards the heavily injured demon lord like a flash of black lightning. Her speed was so fast that she left a series of afterimages behind her. The demon lord subconsciously raised his remaining arm and forcefully gathered some spiritual power to throw a punch. However, the black figure suddenly became illusory in front of him. From where Long Houchen and the others were, the black figure suddenly split into two in the air, and a dark light quietly appeared behind the demon lord's head. If it was the demon lord at its peak, it could rely on its elemental body to block this attack. However, its elemental body had already been broken by Long Houchen's Shura Slash, so how much strength could it exert? What was even more shocking was that the black figure that was hit by the demon lord's punch suddenly became solid, and just like that, it rushed forward like lightning along the demon lord's arm. The two black figures instantly overlapped in the air, and if one was slightly further away, they would be able to see that a black light instantly turned into a black light spot on the demon lord's head. The demon lord's retreating body suddenly froze, and its raised right arm drooped down powerlessly. Its life aura was frantically flowing out, and it looked like it would not survive. The black figure tapped the demon lord's shoulder with the tip of her foot, causing it to fall to the ground, and she used the rebound force to instantly turn back. Long Houchen quickly raised his left hand, and a faint golden light lit up. He had previously used Shura Slash and temporarily put away the brilliant holy shield. At this moment, the sword was in his right hand and his left hand just happened to be free. The black figure instantly landed on his right hand, and a fair little hand came into contact with his right hand. Long Houchen pulled and swung, and the black figure quietly disappeared behind his back. Only a pair of long legs reappeared at his waist. Without a doubt, the one who gave the demon lord the final blow was Kai Er. Although she had lost her 4 senses, it did not mean that Kai Er had lost her combat power. On the contrary, during these few months when she had lost her 4 senses, she did not feel lonely because of Long Houchen's company. She felt satisfied and quiet, and her strength had a breakthrough. The shadow doppelganger just now was already very different from the original one, and its attack power was a step higher. Long Houchen did not have the time to blame Kai Er now. Kai Er's timing was very good, and when he raised his left hand to release the light element, it was to give Kai Er, who only had feeling and touch, a lighthouse effect. The demon lord's death greatly intimidated the demons that were charging towards them. That was a level 7 powerhouse, but it only lasted a few breaths in the hands of Long Houchen and the others. Under the sudden drop in pressure, Long Houchen and the others actually temporarily lost their opponent. The war was in full swing, and the crazy killing did not decrease because of their participation, but instead became more and more intense. This was the main battlefield, and naturally, the new monster hunters were not the only ones joining in. The grand hunting teams as reinforcements also joined the battle from different directions. Every monster hunters team was made up of the Alliance's elites, and with their participation, It immediately caused the passive situation to gradually develop in the direction of balance. Furthermore, the 5,000 reinforcements from the Sixth Great Temple had also quickly joined the battle.